What's going on, Fortnite fam? Welcome to the Chapter 2 Season 6 FNCS, and this season has gone primal. Over the next 6 weeks of action, we're going to watch trios go head-to-head, fighting off trios, different endemic life running around the map, and of course, that high ground, that coveted spot in the area of the match that everyone is looking to contest. And as you guys know, my name is Zeke. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on the broadcast. We've got the boys back. It's Reese, it's Levin. Guys, how you feeling coming into Season 6?
I'm super excited as always. You know, I managed to survive the last 4 weeks with having no FNCS, the preseason building up throughout the building anticipation. We're finally here in Qualifier 1 Round 4. I can't wait to see the first kind of custom style lobby that we've had this entire season and see kind of how these teams play out in it.
Yeah, like people might think Reese is exaggerating. Like, no, it is genuinely hard to survive without FNCS. It is just so, you know, exhilarating having just constant top level action in Fortnite. And I think it's great that we're all back and we're ready to break it all down.
Absolutely. We're poised to see quite a bit of changes, some shakeups, some high level play that you've not seen before. And we'll get to all that in just a second. First, we got to take a moment to talk about the actual broadcast and to let you guys know what we will be expecting as viewers. So the first thing, we're starting things off here in Europe. We'll be here for 6 matches. After that, we're jumping over to NA East for another 6, and then we'll end the day in NA West for the last 6 matches just this weekend. But don't worry, we got more action coming on in the coming weeks. Now let's take a look at the overall tournament format. Now I know you're gonna see this and you're gonna be scared, but don't worry, I'm gonna help break this down. Okay, we made a video on this, so if you want to check that out, it'll help break down things individually. We're starting things off here in the qualifiers on the left side of your screen. Later on, we'll move to semis, to reboot round, and finally the finals. But don't worry, we're taking a look at just the qualifiers. Let's punch in on this and Reese help break it all down.
Yeah, so we are in Qualifier 1 right now. There are 4 rounds total. The first 3 have already happened. You know, that first round 1 was open to anyone in Champions Leagues, and they've kind of whittled their way down to the top 33 teams. So that's what we're going to keep an eye on right now, the top 33 teams. After this, next week and the week after, we have 2 more qualifiers, but we're not worrying about that right now. We're worrying about Qualifier 1. So what do you want to actually be looking out for on your leaderboards? We need to look out for the teams who come top 3, as these guys get a ticket straight to the finals, where all the prize money is and all the, you know, all the hype, let's be real, you know, all the earnings, all of that kind of juicy good stuff coming in the finals there. Every other team that's underneath the top 3 will gain series points across these 3 qualifiers, and 99 other teams will go to the semifinals. And from there, they'll be able to move back up to the finals. So remember, top 3 is what we're looking at, and everyone else is getting series points.
Yeah, and you may be wondering, how do these players actually get points on the board? Now, although many things have changed from last season to this one, the one thing that does remain the same is that players will receive 2 points per elimination. Once your trio is one of the 24 trios remaining in the lobby, you will begin to receive placement points. Now, players will continue to receive placement points for every single placement, all the way until that victory royale. The winning team will receive 30 placement points on top of any potential elimination points that they gain. So there's going to be a lot of points up for grabs.
That's right, and Reese just hinted at it, the finals. This is the prize breakdown for all 7 regions. That's right, 7 regions with their own prize pools. And don't forget, every region, whichever trio walks away first, will take hold of the Axe of Champions until they look to defend their title in the next FNCS. Fortnite fam, it is going to be an absolutely incredible set of weeks, month ahead of us. We cannot wait to get into all of the action. But first, 2 of these regions that we have just looked at the prize breakdown, they've actually already wrapped up their games in their first qualifier. So let's take a look, break this down, and see which trios have come out in those top 3 spots. Because remember, those are the ones that automatically will move on to final. You've got Seek loves Zuko. I hope Zuko loves Seek. You got Runa and Cressway. They're holding down that #1 spot right now, Reese.
Yeah, you know, this is the Asia region. They performed really, really well. That first game, they picked up a big victory royale with 12 eliminations. So really, really huge game for them. And honestly, they teed first all the way through. You know, they kind of team in second, Savage and Reason, you know, not the real ones. These guys are, you know, showing homage to those other pro players they love from other regions. But, you know, they very, very so closely clutched up. They actually won their last 2 games and took them to kind of 2nd place there. So really, really big performance from these guys. Top 3 have qualified, so is Ruri, Riz, and Wildhawk as well.
Yeah, and Rurivis and Wildhawk are obviously one of your favorite trios. We talk about them all the time, Reese. Obviously closing out that final spot. For the rest of the teams, though, who weren't able to get the top 3, you have to remember they still are acquiring series points. And, doing really well in this first week is going to be a big confidence boost. It's just that bit of insurance, right? You only got to maybe just get to the finals one more time and sort of replicate this performance to sort of secure your way to the semi-finals. Definitely going to be a big positive for a lot of these teams in there.
Yeah, and if you remember, kind of the top 3 are not going to be there next week because they've already qualified through. So if you're in that top 10, he didn't make top 3, confidence boost 100% because those other 3 teams aren't going to be in there too. So moving over to the OCE region, 2 Folly, M1, and Sacco have won the region here. Really good performance to lose. And this actually went down all the way down to the last game. There was 1 point between it. As you can see, they took that first place by 1 single point here. And that was actually because they had 2 more eliminations in that final game. So they only just managed to win out purely based on those 2 eliminations. Top 3 qualified, also Basil, Forbes, and Jace, who performed really well this season. If you watch kind of any of the cash cups, even solo cash cups as well, you'll see these guys' names up there in the leaderboards.
Yeah, and I actually woke up really early and I was able to catch a bit of OCE. You can see Jinx, Alec, and Worthy there in 4th. They're usually used to being top of leaderboards. This time they were 4th, but the leaderboard they are on top of is the series point leaderboard. So definitely going to be, a good sort of beginning for these guys. Hopefully we can see them sort of secure themselves in that top 3 next week. You definitely expect them to. They're one of the top teams in this region.
That's right. These series points will favor those who can play consistent, right? Even if you don't make it in the top 3, if you can find yourself in top 5 consistently, you will be seen in these semifinals where you will have that opportunity to try and make it into finals or fall back into the reboot round. But you don't want to go there. You want to just go on through to finals. Now, Season 6 has seen quite a bit of changes, a few new POIs, new endemic life running around, crafting, all these things. But we want to actually zero in on the map itself and kind of talk through some of the storylines we want to follow. So check this out. We have Telestration. We get to draw on the map, boys. Okay, Reese, show us some of these hotspots. Talk through some of these trios we have to keep our eyes on.
We can draw on the map, so I love to see. So firstly, we're going to look at Sweaty Sands over on the left-hand side here as well. One of the really important things about Sweaty Sands is the fact that 2 teams are going to be going there, which is Tayson, Forziar, and Nate, and they're going to be contesting against Desolator, Offset, and Trix here as well. So the fight that we're going to be seeing around in the Sweaty Sands area is going to be super critical because we have a top team coming in, like I said, of Tayson, ex-FNCS champion, and they're going to be looking to kind of hold their own here. And Desolator's team, looking at the kind of previous rounds, didn't necessarily perform too well off spawn sometimes. I watched some of the games through, it was a little bit hit or miss. So contesting against one of the best teams there, I see this going one way, but hopefully we see kind of Desolator potentially hold his own against one of the top teams in the region. Another area that we're wanting to look at here is also Slurpee down here at the bottom as well. We're going to see Astro, Hardfind, and ADN there going against Link, Rotary, and Mosh. 2 teams, really, really good fighters, but this is Astro's turf. Astro, if you remember back to last season, they actually dominated some of the qualifiers here, winning 5 out of 6 kind of fights off spawn against Exterios' team. So at this, I'm very, very excited to kind of see these 2 teams fight it out here. And one more fight that we want to look at really is over at Dirty Dogs as well. We've got Kebo, Egram, and Volks going against Michael, Mexi, and Verox as well. And if you remember again, back to last season, we've seen kind of Kebo, Egram, and Volks. They performed really well in the heat. They placed first in their heat, but then when it came to the finals, they ended up being, I think, 32nd because they were just basically fighting against one of the best teams they could have, Vidil, Noah Riley, and Reason. So they were really, really struggling off spawn in that area, and they ended up kind of switching up their drop slots because of this. So in this kind of area, how am I going to see this fight going? I'm probably going to have to give it to Michael, Mexi, Verox at this point, but hopefully we're going to see some upsets across kind of all of these, and maybe my predictions won't go the way that I think they will,
Yeah, I think there's potential for upset there at Dirty, right? If you pay attention to the DreamHack sort of track, the Cash Cup Extra recently, there were times where Michael, Verox, and Mexi looked a bit vulnerable off spawn. Now I want to bring your attention here to Retail Row, right? Retail Row, we have, Wolfies, who everybody knows who Wolfies is. He's playing this season with Slender. And this trio is a trio I'm really optimistic about, right? I think they're, a really exciting trio. I think they're somewhat underrated, all playing with different people. Void and Wolfies in particular played with each other in the past, and they have good chemistry. I know they're good friends, and actually contested by Jack Will, Passive. And so, one interesting part about that, beyond just the fact that they're contested, is the fact that, Void and Passive played with each other last season. They were on the same trio. And so, we've not necessarily seen these 2 fight off here at Retail much so far. It's going to be sort of a snapshot into that. Looking forward to seeing what happens there. I think the big thing that a lot of people be, interested in at home, where's Benji Fishy landing? Everybody loves Benji, right? Benji's obviously going to be towards Pleasant Park. And the interesting part for Benji is that it's going to be a challenge for him, right? Because he is going to be contested by Floki's trio, Floki, Deciptos, and Clement. They are, you know, one of the top trios from France. Definitely a trio that you'd expect to do somewhat well, but contesting Benji, Matson, Amplify at Pleasant isn't going to be easy by any means. So it'll be interesting to pay attention to what happens at Pleasant and Retail, some of the oldest POIs in the game still. So good to see that there's still some action going on there.
Oh man, this is already like just even kind of touching on these little threads, right, of this overall narrative has got me so hyped. Now, the other thing we want to do is actually zero in on a trio that has performed in round number 3 of Qualifier 1, and they have just been dominating everyone. Reese, I mean, are you surprised that this trio specifically is the ones coming out? Is this like #1 seed coming into this round number 4?
I'm not surprised at all, because what we're going to be talking about is Andalek, Snazy, and X-Squeeze. And if you have watched FNCS last season, even the season before that, these names will be very, very familiar to you. You know, last season they ended up placing 4th, so technically they're the highest placing seed from last season's FNCS, and yesterday they ended up placing 2nd, so just kind of missing out in that first place slot to Savage, who ended up placing 1st. But again, this is an extremely strong team coming in. So yesterday alone, they managed to get 3 victory royales out of their 10 potential games that they had there. So huge. That was first to be seen in brackets there, which is more than any other team in yesterday's round 3. But on top of that, they also had 3 0-1 point games. So 3 basically games where they did nothing, which again was the most. So they had the most wins and they had the most low point games at the same time. So yesterday's games were a little bit volatile for them. And potentially that's because a team like this really kind of does its best and performs best in a custom set lobby like today, like round 4, you know, when it's the same teams every single game for the 6 games across. You know, this is where these guys are always in their elements, in finals, in kind of the last rounds of the qualifiers, in the heat. You know, these guys, this is where they're doing best. So I'm potentially suggesting that we're maybe not going to see the 3 0-1 point games today, but maybe on the end of the 3 firsts.
Yeah, I think the thing to be optimistic about these guys is that even with some of the rough games they had, they are big game players, right? You can see their single game points. They had the biggest single game point game of anyone in round 3 yesterday, I should say. I was going to say last season, not last season, just yesterday. 44 points acquired in one game alone, right? These guys have that sort of ability to go in there and dominate games, and you could definitely potentially see them have huge games here today. And then when you look at experience, right, they have the most FNCS final appearances combined of anybody in the lobby competing today, right? 15 total appearances in FNCS finals across all of the FNCSs. Really impressive stuff from these guys, and I think the experience is just going to help them to excel further in this lobby.
Okay. Now we got to shift gears here, boys. We've talked about some trios. We've talked about a lot of these narrative threads we're going to be following, but now I want to hear from you two, and of course, our casters, your predictions, which trios you think will come out in that #1 spot here in qualifier number 1. Now, what I like to see is when you two have the same pick. Why is this?
I think when we have the same pick, you always gotta, really look at that tree and think, oh boy, these guys must be a real threat. And I think when you look at Refsguard and Traitor and Mr. Savage, they definitely are, right? There were some concerns coming into the season, especially because both sets of players sort of had issues last season in different areas, but so far they've really impressed us. Yesterday, they obviously won round 3. They were the best trio on the day, and definitely potential to be one of the best trios today. They're a really strong team, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do coming out of Steamy Stacks.
Yeah, I think Mr. Savage and his trio in particular really kind of turn on the heat when the pressure's there and when they need to. And right now, getting a top 3, there's a lot of pressure on right now. So I'm thinking, definitely one of these guys is gonna get up there, get that top 3 slot. That's where they're kind of me and Levin's prediction. But, Shio, Sancho decided to go another way. Shio with 4ZR, Tayson, and Nate. A really, really good prediction. We kind of mentioned them already, how they have that off-spawn fight in Sweaty Sands against Desolator, but they've definitely been one of the best teams, no doubt, this season. In week 2, they kind of placed first in the Cash Cup, and then again, first in the Cash Cup Extra presented by DreamHack too. So they were doing extremely well then. I think the next week after that, they placed 7th. So the preseason, generally, these guys have been absolutely on fire. So coming into this first week, they've got to be a top pick at least.
Yeah, preseason domination, Andalek, Snazy, and X-Squeeze are sort of almost the epitome of that as well, right? Where they've just been so amazing to watch, and they've shown on countless occasions. Exactly, it's why we highlighted them, right? It's why they were the spotlight team, because they have just been so dominant in the time between last FNCS and this one. So looking forward to seeing how they do. Great pick from Sancho.
The great pick, guys. It's almost time. The battle bus is just about ready to go. I want to get your just quick thoughts here. when we're kind of comparing season 5 to season 6, what differences are we going to see, especially with this endemic life, with the crafting, with the new weapons? Quickly, let me hear it.
Storm Surge. I'm going to say Storm Surge is going to be the difference. There's no longer sand in the middle of the map. Done.
I think a lot of the fundamentals of the game have stayed the same. You know, I think a lot of the more experienced trees have sort of been able to look at the ones who were successful last season and sort of look at their game plan and strategy and sort of copy and take from them. And so we'll see some really high level play today.
You love to hear it. Being able to see which of these trios adapts to the situation, which become survival experts and make it to the finals. Fortnite fam, you know what time it is, baby. It is time to kick off the competition. We're going to throw it over to everyone's favorite cheetah boy, Sancho West, and everyone's favorite spirit animal, Shayo Wager. Boys, say hello.
Welcome to season 6 of the FNCS. We've gone primal, so it's time to adapt. It'll be your boy Shayo Wager and the glorious Sancho West, helping you craft your way through this new season. The first session of Qualifiers. Sancho, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling so excited. I cannot wait to see who's going to be the 3 trios to get all the way, bypass the semis, go all the way to the finals. Talk about an ultimate shortcut to set your way in the FNCS Season 6.
And you're talking about shortcuts, run new paths now. It's all about the top 3. It's a very different game that we've kind of been watching for almost a year now. Completely new stakes on the board. And Benji, the first one to land a shot and get clapped back. No way it starts like this. Everything is different. Clement just takes them out.
Oh my goodness, this is the kind of battles and skirmishes that you find here at Pleasant Park. And already, Benji, Amplify, and Matzo in the hurt. But hey, Matzo claps back. Clement goes down. This is going to be a scrummy fight here, Shayo.
Yeah, well, at least one teammate down on both sides. Matzo, though, all the way back up in all the HP. Mats are everywhere, forced down to the basement. It's getting cold. It's getting dark and quiet now for this team. Their star clutch player is no longer alive for the off-spawn fight.
Wow, that was so intense. This is basically the strong side of Pleasant Park with the addition of the bunker chest. Anyone that plays pubs and arenas, no matter what, that yellow house is vital. Looks like Amplify and Matzo able just to hold that off for a minute. And here we go to the other side on the map here at Steamy Stacks. We have Resguard Savage, and we're expecting some fireworks here, but so far quiet.
Yeah, kind of the other side of the coin of kind of the early game competition we'd like to see, right? Pleasant, contested. We have fights at Sweaty as well, but Steamy, Misty, some of these big spots have big names like Savage, Resguard, and Dreda will have a much different game, alive, well, and looting for the majority of the early game.
Looks like that battle at Retail Row is going towards the way of Void's trio so far, picking up 2 elims right then and there. From the analyst desk, that was a battle kind of drop spot that we all have to keep our eyes on, and just to keep an eye on the zones as well. It looks like it's going to be up into this corner here at the Steamy Stacks, and when that is a factor here for Savage, Resguard, and Dreda, that just gives them free reign to go out there and push a trio.
Yeah, free reign, free time. They'll have a lot to loot, and looting's kind of changed now, Sancho, in the earlier portions of Fortnite. While we watch this fight kind of go a little bit of a stalemate vibe towards Lazy, it's all about, tracking NPC quests, working for gold, and making up all the crafting parts you can get in your POI to upgrade your guns. You'll see Vortex already has those upgrades from makeshift to mechanical, AR, and the pump. His guns are going to be doing mega damage and going to be very accurate. So he's the point man right now. Almost out of mats, though. It'll be an all-in here towards Knight's trio.
I'm taking a look at the Elim Fid. Looks like Ghosty was able to overcome Wolfie's trio again, so it's kind of crazy. A lot of action happening all over the map here. Let's see who's going to get the first opening action here in the Lazy Lake. So far, HP is about the same. Shield's about the same. Looking for angles, and Stasio's trio is going into their hard mats. There's going to be a strong defensive stance here. It's going to be very difficult for Vortex's trio. You're seeing all I can do to crack this tortoise shell that's happening right here. I wonder how many animal reference we'll get into today. That's already one for me.
Might get into a few more right now, though. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Vortex just because of the makeshift potential, all the shots close range down below. He's keeping his distance, just rattling on these mats, looking for control before he pounces in. His other teammates are being a lot more aggressive. He finally gets a little bit of a wall down, still not taking too many risks. Goes for a big shot around the corner and does get Paxi down. Stasio's down too. Knight with a big return as well, and that is a trio wipe.
Eventually, the shell will crack right then and there. They were knocking it. It was just too much pressure for him to handle. And this is another battle out here in the Colossal Crops. As you can see, everything's gone primal, going back into the ages of the Fortnite lore. This is actually a Bony Bird. So, hey, another kind of going back into time. No longer Tilted Towers, no longer Neo. It's all primitive right here. And this is a big fan as Desolator, as we have seen go down to Sweaty Sands, has decided to go to Bony Birds to kind of contest Hydro here. Hydro with the high ground is about to get chopped. Gonna get a retreat here for this moment, but it's all up to Offscene here to kind of turn the tide for this favor here. The Lone Warrior gets has so far 2 Elim points on the board and eliminated right then and there. Hey, that is high. This is Hydro's spot. They know this really well, and we've been seeing Desolator throughout the entire round 3. They've kind of been nomadic. They've been all over the place. Like I mentioned, we thought they were to contest Nate's trio down at Sweaty Sands. But we all know that if you could contest Tayson and Nate in 4ZR, that won't be a good ending as well.
You see the similarities too between where Refsguard is and Bony Burbs in itself. There's very open spots. You just notice there, you know, you kind of have to all in after a few tags. Not that easy to just kind of run around and get things down for free.
Hey man, if Fortnite had some kind of a guesser type game for location, I would have not done well right there. I would have failed. I would have been like a couple of miles away from Colossal Crops there for Bony Burbs.
Very similar looking POIs, but something that hasn't changed is Dirty Docs, not only in stature, size, and shape, but the fact that there's always 2 teams contesting in these builds in the early games, going all the way up high for fights. Always one lone watchtower wolf. This time it's Egram. Who's looking at a Michael, Mexi, and Virox. I think the favors to win outside in this POI, they're kind of the second best team here. The other one being Anas, Thomas HD, and Flick. So good out of this spot. But this time it's going to be these guys showing how they're going to take things by storm.
Also, just to point out, we have bows in the game. That is a makeshift bow in Michael's inventory. Snipers have been vaulted, so any kind of long-range engagements, any kind of big-time hits or highlight hits, you will see from an arrow drawn from a bow.
Right now, there is something actually developing within these fights. Kibo's found his way up the backside, looking all the way up top.
I see it.
So you could have an angle on Virox down below in just a second. Unfortunately, it's all metal down below. It's not going to amount to much right now. There's too many fully built metal builds at the moment. Unless Michael, Mexi, Virox make a move, it's going to be done.
Something I've been noticing, a lot of crouch play has been implemented this season. A lot of players exploring that option, the sneakiness, that ambush abilities in builds.
Still kind of easy to track from Michael all the way up top. Now they'll rattle over to builds. Michael's not going to get found out first. He makes the first move. It's going to be stillman on both ends. I feel like for this, the worst thing that's happening right now is just no developments on both ends. Yeah, Michael's jumping up for a few shots here and there, but it's all 3 players on the same side. That means they have an ultimate defense on peaks, but no fluidity and trying to gain space. Now Virox is pushing for it. 18 builds. Can he make it up top is a big question. Michael's made it. Virox is a distraction. Maxi's far away. He can land the beams.
Oh, it gets chopped. Okay, so this is the kind of fight they could take here because zone's over here, Shio. So they could take this fight, they could take the time, and they're gonna have the ability to loot once this is over. But still, Virox is out. Mex and Michael. Michael does have that purple pump in his back pocket. He could release it right here. Goes through the window attic, but too much pressure is coming in from all sides when the soft bats come out. That means it's just a matter of time before you go down. Now it's up to Mexi to hold on true. Mexi gets cracked, and Mexi is out. Ingram, what a big time statement right there, considering Virox was practically coded into Dirty Dogs, it feels like, considering that that's where he always went since its induction.
I just like the overall defensive play there on all 3 players staying on the same layer, on the same builds. Even when they got taken over by Michael, they understood exactly where each other were and have to actually split it down. A nice trade back and forth. They end up winning it out right now at Lazy, though. Jamside is pushing in what I assume was Misty Meadows, looking for even more fights. They are kitted up to the teeth. Big ammo counts, big guns as well. Mentals will be looking to hunt for this next shot.
This is going to be the dangers of having long fights here. Can the Lazy Lake trio survive the push for Misty Meadows? And we all know Alex out there in Caddy Corner could show up. They tend to avoid early engagement here. As you already see in the feed, they actually rotated down to retail row as they pick up a knock against Ghosty.
Everyone's just being really careful right now. It's every single trio playing right beside each other, not really taking many risks to peek or to go for shots. Especially true at Lazy. The first time someone lands a bullet, fight ends up just finishing in just a few seconds. There is the big shot that lands through. As we watch that, though, we'll watch the rotation as well. on the northern side of the map. It's 4ZR, Tayson, and Nate who've moved from Sweaty down to Boney and then clashed with Benji.
Talk about a collision of titans here on rotations. They're going to be rotational partners at the entire way. It's like, essentially, you have a travel buddy, right? But this travel buddy is not very friendly. They're going to try to find tags as much as possible. They're not going to really try to box fight. They know a little bit better, but hey, if they're seeing an opportunity, Tayson's not afraid to go in, and that's what we're going to have here. This is going to be a very dangerous box fight here so far away from zone.
I like the decisions there from both teams.
It's a pretty good one. I like it too.
Yeah, you were calling that they basically weren't going to actually attack each other. I think Tayson was on that vibe, but then he saw that Benji wasn't really responding back, so he went to test the box. Quickly found out exactly who he was dealing with, and was like, all right, we'll take the right here. You guys go left. See you at the end of the fork. Meanwhile, though, nothing here yet at all. Looks like actually Jamside loses one teammate. Yeah, Dementos is down. Reboot's there, but it's not going to be possible at this point. 24 seconds. Him and Fury have to run and maybe pick up Dementos at some other point.
And there it is. The effects of taking engagements here, as you've seen Rifla getting a knock on Paco. Paco having a new trio this season.
This game will be very different for EU in general. It's because of what's happening at Dirty right now. Another team rolling in. Surat's here for more fights. Foxy's work's not done. Usually the guys at Dirty have so much control over the central mountains of the map. With these fights going on over and over again, it's basically open season. You thought that the loot pool, everything changed up because it's primal. The map is even more barren now because this Dirty Docks team has not left their POIs. So we'll see if Fury have basically a free rotation. Maybe him and Jamside can pick up Dementos in just a bit. We'll see Savage having more control of the map as well. This team needs to wake up, though, and get out of Dirty. Get clean. Get a nice spot on a mountain somewhere close by.
Hey, man, but what a way to wake up to this alarm. They have basically 6 elims. This kind of plays into their favor. They don't have to worry about Storm Surge. Now they just have to be sure they replenish themselves, loot up, get as many heals and shields as possible because they already expended. Look at that. Look at that big build that you see right there on the left side of your screen, folks. A lot of it's already expended, but now they're going to have to loot, and all eyes are now on them as you see another trio out in the distance. But here's a trio that a lot of people have been picking to do well here. Remember, the winner of the first qualifier went on to do well, and I think they got the whole thing right at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, Steamy is just an insane POI. When it comes to being uncontested, it's huge as well. If it's your guys' first time watching Fortnite, it's kind of different in how comp breaks down. It's not the same typical public match you guys are playing. It's all about just gaining control at this point in the game, the second and third zone. If it's at the top of the crane, the top of the mountain, you want to look for shots, stay ahead of Surge. That's exactly what Savage and Dreda and Rescard are doing. They have such a good spot. Usually they're sharing kind of the same targets as a Dirty Docks trio, but as we mentioned before, they're not there, so they're kind of kings of the Eastern Castle, so to speak. Meanwhile, right now, no one really holds the throne with Benji and Tayson's rotation path. It's just rough on both sides.
This is kind of the dangerous rotation that could kind of trip up both trios here. They're gonna have to figure out, is it worth? I mean, they could essentially alpha them out of this rotation. But similar minds, that's what we've been seeing throughout the entire Fortnite, is everyone starts having the same kind of mentality about how to rotate, when to rotate. And now Benji's going to turn face and try to third party into this. As Keswick is down below. Valkyrie and Nakos, they're coming all the way from Coral Castle here. So this trio has been rotating all together throughout the entire map here. And now some shots are ringing out. And Nate's in trouble with Stinkfish. That Stinkfish could cause a lot of white damage here on Tayson's trio.
It has a larger cloud, harder to get away from. While it was all going down, though, 4ZR did slip into the boxes below. Falconly picking up that one. The shakedown comes through, too. They'll set him up for maximum surge damage, and they know that Tayson and Nate are right above them. These are 3 top-tier teams that we're watching right now. We have Benji, Matzo, Amplify. It's a very concrete team that knows exactly what each player's role is. We have one of the most interesting teams to watch as well with Falconly and Nakos with Keswick. These guys are basically coming in off of 3 different trios, all kind of misfits, all with such unique play styles, and now just playing the game. Qualifier 1, round 4. Meanwhile, up top, Nate 4ZR, Qualifier God Sancho pairing up with Tayson. You're looking at people who are used to winning back to back to back in these types of games, and now they have one of the best fighters on the planet, one of the best pushers too. Every single team here, including the one on screen right now, are behemoths.
it kind of feels this is the theme, right? You have some trios that have been together throughout the entire time. As you see, Analex's trio came in 4th place in the previous FCS. And then you have people with like just substituting one, like a duo sticking together, substituting one, like we saw last season with Benji and Matzo and Amplify, picking up Benji, of course. And then you, like you mentioned, misfits, just people coming from all different kinds of trios, scrambling all together. We've been seeing, tweets on social media, people looking for trios last minute. But sometimes that last minute, like you mentioned, kind of that chaotic energy could synchronize and synergize into a great placement here. Again, top 3 is what we're looking here, folks.
Yeah, that entire conversation once again of, top 3 going straight over towards grands. It's just like, it's wild to think of. Usually it's like, top 7, top 10. We had very different, close to double-digit situations in the past. But at the same time, right, now it's not like that anymore. Now it's really about the upper echelon pushing all the way towards the top. So we're going to take it a lot more seriously. The scariest part about this spot as well, in past seasons, it's really easy to end up shooting here, getting big damage down in the position you are with Savage. Now with the bows, it's so much scarier to go and over peak your builds and look for shots. They're silent. They come from long distance. Seems like they're kind of easier to shoot and they do big damage.
Big time damage as we're seeing a big time engagement right here as Alpha Blaster and Nikop are coming all the way from Craggy Cliffs. So this kind of a rotation, they run right into Benji, Matzo, Amplify. And Benji, Matzo, and Amplify do not want to be here. They rack in most of their points at the end game. So this is going to be a big time engagement for them to survive, because if they get to end game, they're always dangerous. And Benji gets bopped right then and there. The purple pump just not enough. And now Amplify and Matzo have to move on as that duo that had been together for such a long time. But against this trio, it's going to be very difficult. As you can see, Zone 4 has been revealed, and not a lot of people alive in that zone right now, Shayo.
Yeah, splinters and cracks all around from trio to trio. There's still 24 left right now, but it seems like all these top tier ones, every single one we expected to do well, has lost one of their teammates rolling into the game.
And that's what we're going to expect here. Last time we had in the FNCS, you're going to see solo performances. You're going to see pop-offs. But, in Season 4, you saw those solo clutches because the power of that pump shotgun was able to ring true. Some craziness like we're seeing the NA East with Day doing some insane things. That's where you're going to see again. Typically last season, the power of the shotgun wasn't there. A lot of people got overwhelmed when there were a solo or sometimes even a duo. So, hey, even though Benji's gone, Matzo and Amplify, as a duo, they could still gain in some valuable points. At the same time, maybe win the whole thing here in the first match here.
We saw that stat on screen earlier on. It was all about the elims for these guys. Almost had, what's it called? More than 5 every single game. So
yes,
now rolling into this one with this zone, everyone's actually outside of it, so they have to move in. Red Squad has one of the best positions on the map right now too within the zone, but there's only one team that's really up top on a mountain looking in one of the best spots. We'll see them in just a second. Look at this base though. Snagged, Savage, Amplify, Pablo, so many different names here. Savage is looking high and dry in this one. With Andretta, everyone right now 400 damage above Swarm Surge almost. So they'll just watch and wait. Maybe go for a few more tags here and there. Not really looking to all in anything so far.
Taking a look here, 9 full trios are already gone. So like you mentioned, Shia, a lot of duos and solos out there running around. Joe getting into a complete elim on Ghosty here. Crizzy goes down here from Gogos. Gogos, a new name, trying to make a way up to the finals here, but Savage is creating so much pressure, looking for that refresher with that valuable harpoon. You're taking a look at the inventory from Savage. Not a big power weapon in that blue pump, but that's the power of the harpoon. What a phenomenal upgrade to that purple pump.
Yeah, and the reason the loot's all down there is because Matzo is the sole survivor of him and Amplify clashing and crashing into Snag's trio. So they go 1 for 3. But it's just Matzo now left over. And, they're kind of on the same record as yesterday. 6 elims, still have a lot of points. 17 in total right now. With this rotation, it's just him. It's 1 player's worth of mats against 3. He is down 2 whole tiers compared to every other squad.
And the difference from last season is placement points already doled out. Last season, placement points were doled out in the top 17. So Matzo could survive this rotation. He'll get some valuable placement points. So that's going to be a big factor as well. And also in that top 3, we'll keep an eye on his placement points are different as well. There wasn't that big jump between 4th place and 3rd place. We'll get to that soon. Right now, we're going to keep an eye on these engagements right now. Can Analyx, Snazzy, and Xweez, who tend to pop up in-game, they haven't got a single point because they're waiting. As you can see, they have a great opportunity to rotate and maybe steal hype away from Moss's trio.
For leaderboards and ladders, it's all about being close to the top. It's very similar for this zone as well. We're going straight to a mountain. The higher you are, the more power you have, the better you feel. That's what everyone is rushing towards. Everyone down below is way more scuffed. In poverty, basically. They're forced to fight each other. Ref's guard going down. Savage and Andretta were such in a good position before, but now everything looks doomed. He finds Andretta, though, for the pickup. Harpoon's on his walls. What's happened here? This is catastrophic.
So much pressure happening right now. Andretta's gone. Savage, the DreamHack champion from Anaheim. A lot of people out there on the social media were saying he is the best player in the world. Doesn't really have the opportunity to kind of show it as a trio. He's gonna have to do it as a solo now. But so much pressure is happening. You've seen the beams coming from right flank here and save it. He's gonna have to get off this layer, get off the layer and move up as fast as possible. But now it's just a matter of moments because look at the pull that he has here at Zone 6. This is the first moving zone. You always just play pubs in Fortnite. Right now, the zone is just going to move into the storm. So this is going to make things a lot difficult for anybody, especially Savage being a solo.
It's all about religious fractions today because none of these god trios are whole. It is absolutely disastrous for every single top name. There's Matzo and Savage beside each other. The teammates, the prestige, not there beside them anymore, you know, in terms of the potential they have to end up winning this game. Egram, Kibo, and Vox will end up moving forward. Everyone's down on a steep incline to move up this mountain. But remember what I said before. The higher you are, the more power you have. It's Wanless, Podesai, with Ro, who are looking so good all the way up top. They have the control. They have the decisions to make on how to stop teams from moving forward.
A lot of this lobby here is going to get buried by that mountain that you're talking about. Everyone on the low ground is working their way up as fast as possible. In this kind of meta, not a lot of movement, no bouncers, no launch pads, anything like that. You're going to have to tarp your way up, and you're seeing on these rotations, Matzo, who is, oh my goodness, I was going to say, who is the tarper for his trio, knows how to navigate that. But hey, when you're by yourself, that just puts you a big bullseye on your back. And like you mentioned, Wanless and Podesai are sitting at height looking good.
Xweez, Snazzy, and Alex. They're used to going for height a little bit, a new kind of play style they were developing and trying to try in some cash cups, some other third-party places. Now rolling true with their mid-ground prowess. This is where we're used to seeing this trio thrive. They might go for the take a little bit. They might move a little bit closer towards second height right now to the right in front of the first Sparta zone, all the way towards the center of it or all the way towards the front of it. And they're looking good to actually take this natural low ground that's also going on a second hill.
Now it's basically washing back over. So that gives Podesai Wanless an opportunity to send more beams, but look at all they have to work through. So they're not going to be able to get a lot of elim. So expect them to kind of hope for the victory royale and maybe all on down low have to be on soft mats. But look how 80 and Astro Hardfire are moving together as a trio.
They kind of found their way out of the dirt, but now they're up into metal walls.
Oh, this is tough. This is tough.
Different world. It's all Steelworks. They're looking for big shots. There it is. The first one lands from 80 and looking for more. Trying to go all the way past the walls, but they can't actually break through or go by. It's so close. 2 seconds. One. The harpoon pushes, but there's no shot.
No,
and they all go down. 8 zone now. Kha'Zix finds a pick. Juan is still up top with Podesai. They're just a duo. No trio here. They're kind of rattling down on a Snazzy, Analyx, and a Xweez. Nothing happening there, but there's a new contender who's here to play. We'll see Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha ready to get a spot through the top 2.
Just shows you how deadly that terrain is. Just a little bit, just caused that squeeze and they couldn't get through their boxes here. Podesai won. They have enough ammo to kind of put the damage down, but can Wanless hold it down? When you have a trio like that, knocking on the front door is Xweez and Snazzy and Analyx here, but Snazzy gets beamed from height. The beams are so strong and Analyx goes down too. Holy!
You have to be picture perfect in these situations. It's not going to be the case for Analyx so far. Nikov's chasing Xweez under the storm and actually finds the pick as well.
Ooh.
So he lives for a little bit longer, but he goes almost down, finds a flopper, it looks like, with a siphon. He's still healing up inside the zone. There's a second team besides him, also alive right now. We'll see Wishy down below with Eric trying to survive, passing right beside Nikov. It's 3 different teams, 2 duos, and then the Clutchmeister Nikov himself trying to live too. Will he be found out is the question. But she's looking backwards, but they're getting rattled all the way from up top. Podesai can end this game, but they haven't landed a single shot yet. Nikov goes out and out to 2v2.
Photosai and One Last, who's been sitting in the high for an entire time, only have 2 elims. So this is going to be big now. They're going to have to get this Victory Royale just to make that high play work now. This is the opening moments here of day 1 of season 6 here. Round 4, the first opportunity to get on top of the boards right here. Wishy and Eric going against Photosai and One Last here. Going across old builds here. So the intensity is going to pick up. 2 elims for Eric. Wishy with no elims right now. Low mats too, Shio.
Yeah, but it's going lower and lower, and they find a body with more mats, Wishy takes a big shot. So it's basically all up to Eric. In about 10 more seconds, Wishy will go down to the zone. It just takes 1 tick. They're on the wall. Big shot comes through, Wishy.
Oh, wait a minute.
You can't. The pressure from Photosai is too high, and they end up the winners of game number 1.
Whoa, what a scary 50-50 right then and there. It comes down to no heal-offs, no nothing. It's a good old-fashioned box break in there for that Victory Royale for Photosai's trio.
Yeah, sometimes you got to brute force your way in. Really impressive,
Absolutely.
though, that against trios, against so many different squads that were alive, they did that as a duo on high ground. So many different types of challenge, different players as well. They held their way through all the way towards the very end.
I thought the most scary moment for them was Alex's trio. They were second from height. They always looked for that opportunity to take height in those last moving zones. And the beams that were coming through was just too much for them to overcome that.
Yeah, we'll see exactly how high ground looked that game and more specifics and how things went down early. Analyst, what you got for us on the desk?
Guys, thank you so much. A great way to start the FNCS. I gotta say, a lot of these early game fights, there's just so much respect around the table. You're watching these trios just kind of sizing each other up like, no, I could take this, but I know who you are and I gotta be careful and mindful of that. A great win, though, coming out. How are you guys feeling after this first game? Did it live up to your expectations? Were you hoping to see more or less? Give me your thoughts, Reese.
I mean, I don't think we really talked about Photosai's team at the top of the show at all. I don't think we put respect on him and his trio's name, all honesty. But, his performance was really, really big. But, another team who we thought potentially performance was going to be big from was Manto, Benji, and Amplifier, right? We talked about them earlier on, kind of right at the start of the show. We thought this was a fight that was going to be really, really important coming up Pleasant Park, right? We saw the fact that he was being contested straight away. We saw Benji land, and look, hits the 80 shot instantly, and you think this is it. But no. That's not how that goes down. He ends up getting 1 pumped back in return. So really, really tough for them. Then we saw another one of our top teams, 4ZR. We saw Tayson, we saw Nate. We were kind of following them on rotation along the way, another favorite. But 4ZR actually ends up getting dropped down below, and this is why you got to pop those kind of cone and floor underneath you below, just to make sure you don't get dropped down. Ended up happening to him.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I think I was really excited to watch that game. Of course, not surprised that Photosai's trio is sitting there in first place. I just want to highlight Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha, right? Because for me, when watching throughout that game, there's many points in mid-game where we saw, the likes of, Nikov's trio themselves. You saw Benji's trio at times, Tayson's trio at times, sitting along that sort of storm line, right? When it got to about 5th zone, you see so many teams on congested edge, and nobody wants to sort of take that step forward to, position themselves to get to zone. Things look really hectic. And this trio in particular, Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha, they committed the hard mats to be able to, tarp into zone, right? This is like way, way earlier than before endgame, and they committed those mats to put themselves in a strong position so that, they wouldn't have to worry about the cluster, right? The cluster that eventually led to Savage and dropping down, the cluster that led to Matzo eventually dropping down, right? They committed the mats to do that, and it meant that they were able to position themselves in the endgame, and it led to 3rd place, right? So definitely really good for them, and a bunch of other the top trios who you'd expect to be really high up the standings there as well. So not too many surprises, I'd say.
Well, no team, we didn't talk again as much about Eric and Wishy. Any team can really pop off right here. And they played a really, really nice game. Again, they were left as a duo in that end game. But one of the things that kind of Photosai did really, really nicely to actually pick up the Victory Royale is notice how they didn't have any heals, didn't have any heal off potential. And because they didn't know what the team down below them had, which ended up being Eric and Wishy's team, they just psychoed. You see them phase through the roof. They're just getting in. They're double spraying, phasing straight through and jumping straight into that box. And notice that's what these teams are going to be doing when they have low white heals. They don't have the floppers. They don't have the ability to kind of pick up 2 white heals and win. And if that team of low ground can, you got to make that cycle play. They played it perfectly. Not a huge amount of eliminations, being only 4, but still picking up that Victory Royale in that first game, top of the boards after game 1.
Yeah, I like that. Just making sure, like you're saying, if the other team might have those heals, just saying like, they're going to win. So the best thing that we can do is just go for it, right? And for them, it worked out. And I got to say, for MXR's trio, my mind. These guys had 3 wins coming out of yesterday, right? And now here in round 4, they've already got themselves a win, so they're looking real strong, right? This is absolute trio we have to keep eyes on, especially as we move to the remaining 5 matches. Boys, what are you hoping these trios change going into the remaining 5 games, right? I like the sizing up of other trios, but I feel like we got to be a little more aggressive if we want to start moving up those leaderboards.
Yeah, one of the things that I really wanted to notice there was, we saw Mr. Savage's team, our predictions, me and Lemon's predictions, being in a really good spot on third zone. They were on the high ground. They were on the pylon, staying in a very, what would be an ideal position in the third zone, but they weren't able to capitalize on that. And what I want to see is, I want to see these teams, whoever it is, not just our predictions because we're biased. I want to see anyone that's staying in those good spots, really playing for their best and making the most of those positions and not kind of, making an unfortunate play, losing height later on to moving and not getting the kind of mats and kind of points that you should be able to out of it.
Yeah, I think I really want to see sort of teams, having that foresight to think ahead, right? You want to be proactive, you want to be reactive. I think too many players have things set in their mind of, hey, we must play edge here, we must play center this zone, right? Sometimes you have to react to the lobby, react to what's going on around you. If you see a bunch of teams gathering around the edge of the zone, you don't want to be there as well, right? It's not going to end well for you a lot of the time. So sort of being proactive, being reactive to what's going on around you, being able to adapt, right, is going to be super important moving forward.
Absolutely. I think that's going to be the key word for this weekend. So we'll have to see which trios can adapt to the situations, because it's time to jump back into the action. Shot with your Sancho. Back over to you guys.
You know what's better than 1 top-tier performance? 2 back-to-back top-tier performances. Let's see it from Podesai, MXR, and 1. If they can do it again, get another win, because a lot of the times that first game is sometimes a fluke.
Yeah, hey, you know what? I will always take a fluke victory royale than no victory royale. That's what's always best. And what a good way to put your best foot forward here in day 1 of the season 6 competition here. And remember, top three get in, child. We're talking about that ultimate shortcut. This is what they're all competing for that chance to join Hen's trio, that chance to join the Deals trio, and of course to join Thomas HC trio. And look at what has gone down. Last time Benji, Amplify, and Matzo were able to walk away victorious. But man, Floki, Decepticos, and Clement, man, I'm getting flashbacks of season 4 FNCS chapter 2, where Benji's trio, you remember, with Lechi and Savage, they were competing out there in Doom's Domain, going toe-to-toe against Vidil, Aqua, and Noah Riley, and it just went back and forth. And so far, man, that I don't know, Shio. I don't know, man. I'm hesitant. I'm nervous.
I mean, it's a backyard brawl now, right? It's literally on the lawns of these houses. Before, it was like a little bit strategic. You could go through all the porta potties, be downstairs in the helicopter base. None of that is there this season now. It's just raw. It's primal, so to speak.
And don't forget the vault. I mean, you could go ahead and expend all your heals and all that kind of stuff, and you could dip back into the vaults and get replenishment. And I was talking to Reese before the broadcast, and Reese pointed out that in the scrimmages and on the cash cups that Clement's trio was basically 4-22, including today 4-23. But hey, it doesn't matter how many times you lose a drop spot contention. It's when you win it. And so far, 1-1.
It's best to have it off the first game as well. And now see them clap back on the second. Mexi, though, I mean, these guys are consistent.
Oh yeah,
that's the big fact. Like, the best type of placement you love to see in EU.
No doubt. You're seeing top 10 in 6 of the 7 rounds. And one thing I like about Vex, Mexi, Verox, and Michael is that last season they were booted out of Dirty Docks by Thomas HC. When Thomas HC put that historic heat run with that insane 3 games, all of a sudden that's in a message to Verox, Michael, and Mexi, and they went down to the butter barn, right? They went way down to the butter barn, and they were able to put a great finish there in last season. So they're comfortable kind of going wherever they need to go to get the W or to get some high placements. But basically these trios are renting out Dirty Docks right now, right? They're gonna come in, the landlord, aka Thomas HD, is gonna come in an awesome flick and they're like, hey, you guys had your fun here. It's time to vamoose.
We'll see though, man. Agram might not want to evict. Looking really good, winning 2 different off-spawn / mid-game fights. Things are not as expected though. A lot of these top teams not too hot off the first game, and Misty actually contested. We didn't see this one coming.
Point out, Michael's trio came in 8th place last season in Chapter 2 Season 5. So what a great finish, considering that day of, they had no drop spot going forward.
Now, James, have a look at the move, man. It just sucks for these guys. Like, every time they're uncontested, they do so well. The day was looking like it, but I guess it's not going to be the wave. Desolator 2 on this new spot. Looks like he's 0 for 2. Released himself individually. Now it'll be, I think, a 2v3 on the other side. Zestin really bullied down. He's throw Desolator back up. That's a quick revive that's going to be happening. And then that's going to be the last person on the line, actually. No, they're trading reses. Okay, makes sense. The 3v3 will happen again with Bony Burb, Sancho, though. So hard to disengage. You end up just fighting down until there's just one team left.
And you don't want to have a long engagement in Bony Birds because there's not a lot of mechanical parts here. The new crafting system is you're not going to be able to get those pumps that a lot of professional players want. You're going to find a lot of animal bones here. So that's the why you're going to want to wrap this up quickly so you could make those rotations. You could go down, get those rusty cars to find those valuable mechanical parts. So this is going to be, yes, you can win this engagement, but you're going to hurt your ride the rest of the way as Zestin, who's did a great job holding on as much as possible, finally gets overtaken right then and there, and it's all up to Hydro to hold on as much as possible here for the other trio.
I bought a little bit of too much time, so gonna pay the price for it. Hydro gonna get collapsed on as well. This is just the worst thing, or the worst form of trickle down effect I've seen in terms of Fortnite. They're going straight from high to low, dropping shots the whole way through. Everyone should be wrapped up from what it looks like.
And there is another kind of a 1-to-1 engagement that we're seeing so far, 1-to-1. And you mentioned that you want to be on your best foot right there as you're seeing another engagement breaking out here. Let me guess, Lazy Lake. See, I'm getting better. Getting better at the location guessing right then and there. Hey, hey, hey. Hi, Chris here, applying the pressure here. Night Vortex, and they were in that scrum at the early on Lazy Lake. I always feel like Lazy Lake is so strange to me. So like all of a sudden there's always multiple trios contesting, and this spot got a little bit more juicier with the introduction of that bunker chest down south. But I always don't like seeing teams fight here too long, because like I mentioned, Caddy Corner could show up, Rito Row could show up, and Misty Meadows could show up. We saw Jamside literally make this crazy rotation early and showed up here. So these are the kind of engagements that, yeah, look, Jamside's already here. He's already competing, already fighting.
Yeah, when you split Misty, there's not much left to get, especially when you're so good at looting it. But the speed of these guys is insane when it comes to actually looting up, which is why Lazy ends up getting just completely bombarded with different trios. Still be the farm game though for Hycris, Knight, and Vortex. And now we'll see another northern zone on the map as well. Sinks is there though. They make things a bit interesting. Big flick doesn't land from Hycris, but the lasers are there after the fact. He gets him down.
Oh, yes. I was gonna say I love the Rust Lord right there. It's good to see him.
All right, now for context, they're at 15 points. First place, 38, rolling through with Potosai 1. Aggrum Vox and Kibo tied there. It's also those 6 elims we were talking about, you know, when it came right out of Dirty. It mattered a lot. They placed 6. They got huge elims overall too. And like 9 in total from that last game. It's just, that's why they're tied with the winners of the game before. 36 for Blaster Nikoff Alpha, always a sneaky trio to come in. No one pays attention to them until, you know, game 5 and 6. That's where we really see their consistency pay off. Egrum's looking for another fight, wants to repeat history. He's like, hey, if we fight off spawn, we'll be in first place after the first game. Maybe it works a second time. But this man is frozen in time, frozen in the zone. What is he doing?
Hey, it's all about sending a message. I don't know what this message is, but it's a message. It's one of those. Look, I'm just saying, like, this is like, there's a couple of teams we know they want to be contested. They're comfortable being contested, and Ingram team is definitely that. In their heat performance where they finished first place, they did so well here, and they were able to, you know, I think it's kind of like they kind of suckered everybody in. Like they kind of were like a possum, you know, right? Playing like easy to elim, but all of a sudden they're ferocious and they attack you, and like you mentioned, they sneak up on their leaderboard right there. And I like this trio. They kind of did really well overcoming the issues they had in the heat, right? You know, only competing in a couple of 4 out of the 6 games there. So I think that's the one you have to definitely keep out on. But looking forward, I don't know, man. They need to decide if they're going to fight Thomas HD or not. They have to do that.
I think we're right now too, just the way the qualifiers are different. It's about top 3. we're used to watching trios do this thing where they, you know, stalemate in zone and still end up with a good result at the end of the day. They end up top 5, top 10, but to be in top 3, you can't have moments like this at least every game.
You're right.
Ragnar as well. This is very
so
important.
right.
These guys are in second, essentially in first right now, right? Like they're tied. They need to upkeep the momentum, take control of the game. Right now, they're just playing so reactive. They need to push forward. We see Podesai, MXR, and One have done that. In a nice central spot for where the last zone was, and now they have to move again towards the second. Really good though for where they are.
Yeah, for you know, last season it was top 8, but that only got you to the semifinals, the next stage. We're talking about top 3, getting you to the end game, getting to you the money. That is what's at stake here, and this is what they're fighting for. And they don't have a day to think about it. Or it's 6 games right here. We already have 1 in the bank, and this is our game 1 winners right here, right now. And the analyst said, Recent 11 said we didn't put any respect on this team. I mean, the reason why I didn't pick them is because I saw them fight in round 3 down at Steamy Stacks, and they were contesting Andretta's trio, and they weren't finding success. I know Podesai usually typically goes to Steamy Stacks, and they're exploring Pristine Point, which is north of that, and all of a sudden they decide to go center because no one's there. Rojo's trio is there doing that split, so we saw them kind of disengage a little bit, but hey, center spots, even though they may not have power weapons or they may not have all the crafting, whatever, they may not have that. It's all about positioning. And we all saw in the previous game, Benji's trio with that crazy rotation alongside with 4ZR's trio, they wounded themselves so much they didn't have a great end game.
We're talking about Benji also is with new teammates. MXR also making the switch from teammates. One team that stayed the same, not only in names, not only with the teammates, as you can see with Nikov, Alpha, and Blaster, but with style. Have been these 3 guys. I mean, last game, sneaking down ultimate low, clutching up in the storm like Nikov always has done, event to event. It's still there. It's classic gameplay reigning through even the primal times of Fortnite.
Speaking of primal, you see the mechanical bow in the inventory. There is a primal bow. This is a very dangerous mechanical bow. It has so much headshot potential and damage as well, even a body shot. And we always saw what in competitive play, yeah, you watch those clips on social media, you see the highlight snipers and whatnot from previously, but in competitive play, those bow shots open up pathways. They open up height retakes, they open up crazy rotations, and more important, they open up engagements. And Shayo, you already hit on it. It's silent, but it's really, really dangerous as well.
These guys are attacking Nebs, Waze, and Bubak about, I would say, 500 to 400 meters away. These bow shots are taking place. Nothing landed just yet, though. I see Waze has a little bit of shield missing, so maybe they did hit a shot from Stealthy Stronghold. Spires, though, you rate them? I like them, bro. If you're up here and you have the movement and the zone moves with you, it's such an advantage.
Oh, yeah.
It's like having a launch pad from the old days.
Yeah, these Guardian Towers are so nice to have. I mean, these mini spires, so to speak. Yeah. And shout outs to Taylor, aka Somebody's Gun, who kind of showed some great tech where you could kind of build over it, you could cap it, you could change the direction, you could jump down, you could kind of put 2 high walls and go over to the opposite direction. But I do enjoy it, and they kind of upgrade the Steamy Stacks area, because, you know, Steamy Stacks always had that crazy rotation, you know, when zones pull so far. But when you got these Guardian Towers, like you mentioned, you could launch your way through, and at the same time, and we've been seeing some cheeky plays with it as well, going up to the Guardian Tower and kind of gliding right down into Pleasant Park is an option. I enjoy it. I like it. I vibe with it. But those Guardian Towers assassins, I don't vibe with.
Right,
they always
no vibes.
They always smirk me. They always smirk me.
No vibes for Rivsguard and Jitter or Savage right now either. 72 damage below. Have to look for tags, and they're getting tagged. They have to act like those Guardian Sentinels, you know what I mean? They have to kind of just go around and make sure they do damage. Go crazy. Let the Primal rip loose. Just get those pump shots. It'll be Steelix who's getting bullied right now. This has to be an all-in. Storm Surge is active. There's a first hit from Refsguard. He can take a few more. Second one coming in just a sec. That's 2. You can only take 3 more. That's 3. They're still below. There's the big shot. 71 only, though. They need 161. Surge hits again. But they're above 551. Wiping out the whole team. Savage, Refsguard, and Dretta are back in the game.
And Jota had a big knock in that scrum right then and there, but you're seeing when they're not contested, where are they going to get the Storm Surge? When they don't have rotational partners alongside, where are they going to get those valuable tags? They usually like to rotate on the north side of the map. They sometimes go to Pristine Point, they go to Orchard, but all those trios are moving fast, so they're not going to be able to get any of those valuable Storm Surge tags. Unlike Alpha Blaster and Nikov there, they have the movement where they could move. They sometimes they go to the Stealthy Stronghold, which is where they are. They're already getting their valuable storm tags there. So there's always a question for high-level trios is where do we get tags if we're not being contested?
If they can't play chess, if they can't manipulate the pieces to find those Sancho, just take a bulldozer and drive over the board like they just did, right? Find a box,
Just jump the table. Flip the table.
Get a three-piece. It's all still, there's ways.
There's ways. There's ways.
Yeah.
You'll never lose a game of checkers or chess if you flip the table before the game's over. Facts.
True facts. If someone doesn't record it, I mean, you have no proof that it happened, so you're chilling.
If you're not caught in 4K, it didn't count. It didn't count.
Bubak Nebs and Waze in a very good spot still. They get another zone on their little tower.
This is good. I've been in this position before where you're sitting on this tower. You get great overview throughout the entire map, as you can see. And combined with the power of the mechanical bow, I love being up here in my own type of situations. It's just really fun. No one really wants to contest you. They don't want to waste the mats to get out there. The question is, if zone pulls away, how are you going to get down? Because you could get beamed out of the air.
Definitely could. I'm actually kind of the opposite, especially when watching teams in this position. I feel like they get lazy. I feel like I get lazy too when I'm up here. If it's too good,
too breezy.
Like, you know, Sunday vibes. Like you don't want to go back to work, or like you don't want to. It's like the end of your vacation. Like, is that type of vibe? Because now when zone comes in, they have to really
clock in. You gotta clock in. You gotta clock in.
Super reactive, because this is where the game gets kind of crazy. Look at all the trios too on this side. There's too many right now to make mistakes.
Let's see if they're high living right now. If zone pulls their way. Just a little bit. That's not that bad. That's not that bad. The Spire team or the Guardian Tower team, they could easily make one kind of jump on top here and they can move over. So let's see what route they take. They decide not to take the Spire, the Guardian Tower pad, and move on over. But you kind of hinted this. Look at this. Falconly, Nakos, and Krizix here, storm holding Tayson. They caught Tayson on a dead side rotate.
Is he by himself? It looks like he is. He goes down.
Wow.
Oh, they've got the rest of the team out here too. Okay, so have 3 Elimps. Kazak's the last one to actually get a shot off onto Tayson. What is going on with that trio today? Seems like they're not finding their groove in the first 2 games.
First game, the zone pulled all the way to the coast on the opposite side. This game, it pulls north. They typically like to do dead side. They like to go up. I've seen that trio and ForceZR's trio go all the way down south. Like literally the craziest rounded out dead side rotations, and this time they got caught. We all have eyes on Nakos' trio. We all said them moving to Coral Castle is going to give them a lot of creative liberties, and they're able to stop a strong trio right in their tracks.
They have prime position coming into Strengthy Stronghold as well, Stealthy Stronghold as well. A lot of strength there too, but
it's a fortress. You can't break through it, you know.
It might actually go through there on an end game. Look at all the possibilities. We have a big hill. Near that Guardian Tower. We have Stealthy Stronghold, which has those impenetrable walls. We have a little bit of a lake potential, and then this natural hilly low ground as well. So see which way the game goes. Right now, definitely have some top contenders looking for control. Kazak's on one side. Blaster is actually on the higher side of this one as well. They'll be the kings of the Stronghold if it pulls this way.
We're about to approach that 5th zone. It's the half in, half out, half in the safe zone, half in the storm. This is your first time watching competitive. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your love. And the action's going to get a little bit more intense here. So far, what a great run from Falcon, Nakos, and Kizix. You talk about the Misfits. Smithfits so far, 3 Elands, and they're looking good. Let's see if whatever they have in their power, the will zone to pull their way.
Falconly himself is just no stranger to having good performances in quals. Last season, Qualifier 2, ended up first place rolling through. So see exactly how things break down in terms of this type of gameplay. He knows his way around. Fast rotates though coming through from some trios. Savage still alive. Not sure if they've rattled on a few more boxes. Stacey and Alex are looking for a high take on Wolfies, though. They alpha up and they take big shots. Slender, half HP. Wolfie's half HP. That was so sudden. I didn't even see it coming. And I got the bird's eye view.
And can you imagine if you're Slender's trio? I thought they didn't see that coming. I mean, last season, Analex's trio, they always went for a height. But remember, last season, the RPG was a factor. And you had Trulex's trio when they had that power. And every time in day one of the finals, every time Analex kept going for height, they kept getting chopped down in explosive fashion by that RPG team. But hey, it's not around anymore, Shayo.
You're talking about chopped down. Is deforestation for every single high ground trio at the moment. Egram is going down as well. Pablo Wingu has lost his side of the clouds. Everyone on low ground I feel like is going to be the safest. There's so many weird coup d'etats on height right now from very different trios. Kha'Zix going down. These guys had such a good position above the strongholds, but they've had to move towards the other side of the map. It'll just be Falconly. He's got the floppers, he's got the clutch potential, but he's gonna have to make the most impossible chain of elims to win this one.
Now you're seeing the lobby focus is strong. 14 HP, holding on, and no. And someone, yes, Clement rewarded with some flops. I'm just trying to look, is Clement by himself? Looks like it. To keep an eye on the rest of that trio, but you're seeing it's going towards the Guardian Tower here as more shots ring out. Babak there having a great advantage over that, but now we're back to low ground with Andretta, Savage, and Refsguard with only 3 elims, 32 points so far. Trying to go and move forward here as zone pulls south. So this is great. They got a lot to go through here, and they're gonna have to make sure they're gonna have to shoot at people ahead of them, so the person in the head could basically tart for them. This is gonna be a tough rotation here, Shio. Very tough.
For full trios, it'll be a little bit easier. It's all about having mats in a rotation like this. It's just all the way down towards the ground with a few hills. You're gonna need to build ramps just like Savages right now, but need to have a lot of room for defense, for holding out on spam. You saw Savage reaction there. He does it. Slightly below, they'll find the shots on rotation. They find a little bit of a weight of the left side. It's X-Squeeze on height though with Analex. They took it over. They have a 3-point height take. And right now we're so far split, they have eyes on the entire server.
And I could tell you how they took height without you seeing it, Shio. It's the pepper, the spicy height retake. That is how they did it. They do it all the time. Caddy corner with the nom boxes gave him the power. And look, Snazzy still has 3 peppers, and he is flying and he is cooking.
The scariest thing though is that I've seen these guys a little bit in cash cups and in tournaments just a few weeks ago in these positions. By the time 7th and 8th zone comes in, they get retaken again. So this is going to be the ultimate test here. And the FNCS qualifiers holding this height in positions where they've lost it before, but every trio that can contest them, Savage and Andretta Refsguard, top prestige, being splintered. Andretta down, now a duo game. 300 mats for Savage 2. This is tricky.
This trio tends to run out of hard mats sometimes. When they get down to the soft mats, that's when their ride ends here. As you've seen, just about 10 brick builds here. Savage using some phenomenal tarp like movement right now, going through a lot of old builds. As you're seeing, it's going just a little bit south of the Guardian Tower. So it's just up to Savage here to survive with Refsguard, which is a new duo pair. They're not the old Andretta Refsguard duo.
And right now it's really smart from Savage. Every time there's threats, a box
soft
towards
mats,
the right or left, he puts a few more builds down to make sure right there that cone that no one can come in. The Windsurge comes in. Replacement, pyramid, goes down, but no shot. Shadow from the backside. Looking for a big shot too. Does not actually find a connection inside.
No match.
It's not going to be configured there, but a big shot goes right through the neural brain.
Okay.
Shadow, he gets taken out. Another big shot comes by as well, but Savage doesn't find the second. They're still moving forward. Big pickups. Refguard gets Voil. Stomping goes down. These guys are on point right now. 4 elims for them while they're active. 3 on Andretta's dead body. Big shot from all sides, though. His ankles get chopped down.
And toes, all that here, man. Just a little too much, but Refsguard still on. Refsguard still going. Can Refsguard get that valuable pickup here? The Storm is just too much pressure. And Alexis Trio X-Squeeze are sitting at a high rate. Boo back right there with noobs. So that's going to be a factor right now. Snazy now out of peppers here, so he's going to go all the same speed as always here. Can Andalex, Snazy, and X-Squeeze here get the elims that they need and the Victory Royale? It's a top 2.
They have height, they have position, but everyone down below has all the mats from every single siphon we've seen so far, so definitely have a lot of fuel. to be in this race. Waze, though, looking for the big shot from the front side, does not find anything that really connects significantly. Stacey, though, is taking down a lot of HP. Nebs takes a big trade. No one's dropped down on all sides. That's the scariest thing. And Waze is going to be the one to kind of defend it. Still, they're running out of mats, Sancho. This is going to be a tricky one.
The scariest thing right now is the gold pump in Nebs' arsenal. He could get a big peep and a big time hit. Stacey goes down. Booback is coming up. The high ground coming up, but no, Nebs does not cash in with the big power pump. And Squeeze almost clutches, and Waze and Booback walk away with that victory royale. And wow, an unexpected finish right there, considering that and Alexis Trio had that dominant position there, Shio.
Had the dominant position, but they found so many upgrades low ground. The gold pump that you called out, 198 damage, I believe, on the head of Andalex. He gets wrapped down from the backside by Waze. That was a picture perfect victory royale. Like, we honestly need a review on that one. That was fast.
That was fast, and like I said, the spicy plays are happening left and right, and we're seeing the EU region be so aggressive. Usually they have a lot more passive play, but so far, Storm Surge not a factor here in the qualifiers.
Yeah, for that game, I would say that it was a little bit more position versus power. So with all the other themes that were going on throughout that game from early to end, we'll have to bring in Zeke, Levin, and Reese to show us actually what went down.
Okay, all right, Waze, Nebs, Bubak, big victory royale here in those final moments, and Alexis Trio right behind him. How you guys feeling about that win, boys?
Very, very excited about that. Waze, Nebs, and Bubak, they really, really popped off there. They were consistent on low ground. We always have this low ground versus high ground conversation every game because it's, the high ground team has the advantage. But right deep here, this is what happens when you're a high ground team like Andalex and you don't have harpoon ability to get more of those materials up and refresh. We kind of watched that in the game previous where they didn't have the materials or the heals to keep them on that high ground. Here, they just had to go for that cycle play. The players on low ground, which was, Waze, Nebs, and Bubaks, popping off with their elims. They got plenty of materials. They're fine. They took the good angles, hit the big shots, and just picked up the victory royale as they needed to.
Yeah, I think, it was sort of a shock finish to some degree, right? Look at the way the game's setting up. You definitely expect Andalex Trio to close it out, especially with all the experience they have. We highlighted them at the, top of the show. Still a good game from them, right? Coming second place, a lot of points were acquired. I think, shout out to Waves, Nebs, and Bubak for picking up that victory royale. It was definitely sort of against the run of play. Even though they were popping off, like Reece said, you always expect the high ground team to sort of close things out there. So hopefully they'll be able to refine that, each game they're getting closer and closer to that victory royale. So it's coming. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, game 3, that could be their time, right? We think game 3 is going to be the Andalex, but what we really want to talk about is just their pure ability with the peppers, right?
Yeah, so, last season, Reese, you did your whole VOD review thing. This is my time now to shine. The 11 VOD review is here. And what I really want to just sort of get into when I'm talking about these guys in particular is their ability to sort of use peppers as movement, right? The casters sort of highlighted this season, there isn't necessarily all the movement and rotational items we've seen in the past in Fortnite. And so pros will look for the next best thing. These guys are able to save so much materials using peppers to rotate and first moving, right? In the game 1, at the end of first moving, by the time it had finished, they had the most mats of anybody in the lobby, right? So, eventually that sort of adds up and it leads to them having games like they've had so far. And it's the reason why they're sitting there in 4th place. But at the top of the leaderboards, their French counterparts, Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha sitting high and, somewhat comfortable. I don't want to say comfortable because it is just a 3-point difference with Nebs, Bubak, and Waze sort of sneaking up on them after that first game victory royale. Second game, sorry.
Second game. Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha again. Previously I talked about Savage last game being center third in a good position. This time again, this game we saw Savage, Blaster, and Alpha in that exact same position. High ground, third zone, they were really, really looking to be dominant there. And again, they didn't really capitalize in terms of placement. They ended up placing 9th that game, but kind of uncharacteristically, I would say, of this team, they ended up with 9 eliminations this game. This team is a team that you would say is definitely able to be consistent in their placement, get up there, but a 9 elimination game in particular coming 9th, that's maybe a little uncharacteristic for them in my opinion. But teams that we kind of already talked about, Nebs, Bubak, and Waze currently in second, they had really, really good game. But in third, team that obviously names we're not seeing, the user team, which is Rojo McTheBeast as well. And here they've actually placed 5th both games in a row, 7 eliminations and now 3rd. So that consistency really pulling them up the leaderboard.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's been interesting to see how things have played out in the top 10 so far. Things are yet to change though. Slender, Void, and Wolfies, a trio that we spoke about at the top of the show, a sort of a newer form trio. They're just outside the top 10. They want to get as high up the standings as possible, because even if you aren't part of that top 3, right, you have to remember the series points that are up for grabs are definitely, you know, very, very valuable. Downs, Pablo Wingo, and Ayobafo, another one of those trios that is sort of newly formed with some old pieces that have played with each other, looking to sort of try prove that, you know, they have, you know, fought through the struggles that they've had. So looking forward to seeing how these guys sort of progress over the next couple of games. Definitely not the end, but you know, still an insight into how things are playing out today.
Yeah, and one of the things about that is the fact that most of the teams that you had there in that kind of 10th, 11th, under 20th spot is the teams we kind of talked about at the start of the show who are fighting. You know, we have Wolfie's team who's in 11th right now. First game, they lost the fight straight away, 32nd, just checking to make sure that's true. And then second game, they came 4th, but with 7 eliminations. So it's like, with all of these teams here, if they're making it off the spawn and winning, okay, they're getting really high up the leaderboard, high up in their kind of that in particular match. If they don't, it's out and it's a 0-point game.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, don't forget, we also have 2 more weeks of qualifiers ahead of us where you're still trying to rack up those series points, right? So we're still I'm looking forward to seeing all the action. And I really want to like see if these trios kind of shift this meta within the meta. This kind of nebulous concept we sometimes tend to talk about. For those of you that don't know, there's an overall meta in this season, but in the competition specifically, we see trios target and do something differently than what we're used to seeing. So I'm hoping we see some of that start to play out here. I feel like we saw it even kind of there in the end game, right? The trios being like, look, you know, we're so used to these heal offs. No, we're done. I'm just not going to give you that shot. If I don't, you're going to miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, right? So I want to see how this goes in the remaining games. But that's enough from us, because it is time to jump into game number 3 here in Europe from the FNCS. Boys, back over to you.
Zeke's talking about meta after meta after meta. I'm just trying to keep track of where players are. How did Nikov clinch all the way towards the top spot? These guys are just invisible over and over again. There are many layers to this, Sancho.
So many layers, and so many layers to this engagement right here, right now. This is game 3, and already you're seeing Benji saying it's not worth going to that yellow house. Instead, he's going to go ahead and disengage and go to the doghouse. And now you're seeing the trios are realizing that so far they've been wounding themselves so much that they just decided to split this to an east and west side. I would say Benji's trio definitely has the better, well, no, not exactly. Now I see a little bit more clear. It is Clement's trio that has the stronger side, because if they get that bunker chest, they're looking really good here. But you're just seeing the effects of all these early engagements playing out here, considering we're at the halfway point here, Shayo.
Yeah, Matto and Egram are kind of reaping all the benefits, even if they're not making all the early games. They have 5 elims each per game so far, and no, Benji. No. Gonna get past the fence. He gets taken down. These guys are looping around the entire POI in a taxi, getting these elims. They're hunting these guys down on and off the clock.
Oh, some big tags there, but Decepto is able to hold on true as Floki is right there on the backside, and now it has become 2-1 to Clement Trio's way, and shades of season 4, no doubt, the ghost of it haunting Benji for this moment. And I may be being dramatic. I will say that. I may be being a little bit dramatic here. I get that, but we all know the way social media works. Drama, hyperbole, whatever you want to say it. I don't know, man. You know that Benji and Matzo and Amplify, like I always said, they want in-game. That's what they want. That's where they maximize their point output. That's where they get as much kind of danger as possible, right? We saw them in the finals last season get a victory royale. So far, it's not winning Pleasant Park.
We're only halfway through. EU has this thing where, like, after game 3 ends up being a completely different qualifier we're watching. People make the most drastic changes. At the same time, there's some teams that don't want to change anything because they're doing pretty well so far. Nebs, Bubak, and Waze, very good last game, very good defensive hold on low ground, and want to probably repeat it. This time, though, the zone is not going a little bit towards the most upward northern side. They'll have to move slightly, a little bit more. Won't just get to stand on a Guardian Tower for 10 minutes of the game.
Hey, you were saying that they were on vacation, but they went ahead and got to work as soon as when they had to clock in. They have an average elims of 6.5. Their average placement is 7. All in total, they had 13 elims, but I think you nailed it right on the head. They got zone, and we all talk about that. And I think Levin said it best. It's you know, you have to make you can't necessarily let the game flow through you. You have to kind of control all that. You have to have the ability and the knowledge and the game sense to kind of control what happens to your situations, because, you know, zones go everywhere. People, one day it's going to be mountain zones. One day it's going to be aquatic zones. It's how you kind of adjust as much as possible. We're getting the first instance of a boar being introduced to this season. A lot of animals out there in the Fortnite island. Yeah, boars and wolves and raptors. And that basically what it is. It gives teams the ability to get some heals with the meat, as well as some valuable animal bones if they want to go ahead and convert a makeshift weapon to a primal weapon. It's a new kind of mechanic introduced here this season, crafting. What was your thoughts when you first saw it? Were you like, wait a minute, like, we got crafting now? Like, what can Fortnite do?
Break out my journal. I'm like, okay, so we gotta figure out exactly which parts are where, what's the strongest POIs. Right? I'm trying to metagame it straight up. Zeke was talking about it. It was like an extra meta on top of the meta. It was like, it just became so much more informative. I like it though. Lots of changes too. You have to remember that, you know, crafting is getting really expensive now. They got to adjust for inflation. Gotta make sure things are balanced on all weapons and all sides. Getting that purple pump. I mean, you know, we saw gold one last time. Sometimes those NPCs can drop them. You can get the upgrades. It's just so much harder. You need 6 mechanical parts for a lot of the bows. You know, some of them got vaulted. You can still be creative, right? You got the stinks. Got this and that here and there, but it's all about choice, which I like the most when it comes to crafting.
And we here at the caster desk will do our best to point out some of the new intricacies or the new additions into the season as they come up here. We're not going to give you everything. We're not going to kind of overwhelm you with all the changes. We'll bring it up as time goes on. And speaking of a change, as you're seeing that the junkyard just to the right of this, just off picture a little bit, has been a very hot spot considering so many mechanical parts are kind of gained from kind of taking out all those junkyard cars, those smash cars. It's a very valuable spot. As you can see, Mexi, Michael, and Verox are heading their way there to see if they can find some upgrades.
You want 3 pickaxe elims? For real?
Hey, man, yeah, it's that animal instinct, you know? Back in the day, you know, there wasn't any kind of weapons or anything like that. They just had clubs and sticks and stones, brother.
These guys are going straight down to the wire. I feel like there's just so much 50-50 around the map, you know what I mean? Maybe because it might be Qual 1. Maybe people don't want to get or just let go of their spot entirely. You guys are really making it go down to the last line, the final wire. I think it'll be interesting to see how the day develops, how game 5 and 6 look, if it's similar there. Fly gets his wing snipped, unfortunately. Mosh, Lincoln, Rotary will be the ones to roll in and just reap the benefits of that fight.
Nah, dude, did you see that? You hear that sound? That's a raptor right there. That's the Velasta raptor. Going in hot, going in for that W key, man. All those Raptors always W key no matter what. you're seeing them go in hot. But I like this Rotary Link and Mosh split right here that they have going there. They're going to basically collect this gas station. They go down into the Flush Factory. There's a NPC there that has some great opportunities for upgrades. I remember that you could basically walk away with the strong pump shotgun from there, as well as just some bunker chests. And at the same time, they could go ahead and go down to the pipes and get the metal and make the rotations and maybe find some fishing spots. So that's a very strong scavenger route, which is a fancy way of saying not basically a name point of interest or POI. And the dangers of landing there is that you're going to have the ability to, you know, you have to be careful for teams like Tayson's trio, who will push that. As you see, Tayson Trio's walking with their chunk of tire upgrade on that sedan. It's a mouthful.
And they can drive wherever they want to go.
Wherever.
And they should drive to the right places. Format right now, kind of updated from last season. Sancho, you touched on it. 30 total placement points, 2 elim points. Looking at my calendar, yep, that's the same old, same old. When it comes to when placement starts, it's when you hit, I believe, 24th place in total. You get 5 points. So you should just be top 17. It's huge to be able to live. It makes all these early fights a little bit more risky and allows people who are winning that risk versus reward early have a little bit of a reward on placement as well. So Steelix snagged Paco, team that was invaded in their box, metal or not. I'd be scared against ADN, Astro, and Hardfight on the side, but looks like these guys are just looking for beams all the way around the map.
Taking a look at the mini map, this is all happening around the Gorgeous Gorge, which is a great place where a lot of trios tend to stop and park right here. So We may be seeing a battle here for center going between these two trios as much as possible. As you're seeing Steelix and Paco and Snag, there are newly formed trios. Paco joining that trio. Last time we saw Snag and Steelix here in the FNCS was back in the heats where they had a crazy battle at the Stealthy Stronghold against Shaykos' trio, and they were literally locked in the basement. Luckily, they removed the basement from the Stealthy Stronghold, and I guess that memory is they decided to get away from the Stealthy Stronghold, no longer dropping there here. But now we're in the Deadfires here, Sheriff's Office, I want to say, and I like this spot here. This is another secondary great spot as well. If it was me, I'd be in the bush that's a little bit south. You know the bush we're talking. We all know that bush. We all know the bush that we're talking about. That a little bit south of that Sheriff's Office.
I will leave these guys alone for like 5 minutes. They can't control themselves to just start the fight. What is this, guys? I guess the accuracy long range wasn't there. Pump shots are a little bit more effective for Snagged and Steelix. I rate it. Ooh, but okay. Hardfind there with the clap back. He's basically just looking for scraps now. Maybe an extra Elam point here or there. It's kind of too late to go for reboots.
Absolutely.
I don't think that he has the cards either, especially when there's 3 people that can control all the loot piles. It's gonna be a little bit difficult for Hardfind.
Yeah, I was hoping Hardfind's trio would do well this season. They were kind of put together last minute last season. They were finding some success going all together, but I don't know, man. It's just right now that rotation out of the Slurpy Swamp's not working out for them at the moment here. They have 35 points, looking pretty solid, but top 3 is where you want to be. And I was talking to Reese before the cast, and he said that basically anyone that's in striking distance in the top 10, expect them to make some crazy plays going forward to later stages here. So, hey, Hardfind with the green power. He may be able to kind of do something here. He's going to kind of try to sneak his way, looking for one good solid beam, a crack of the shield, just anything. But we all know it's just a matter of moments here. Doesn't get the big time beam that he wants here. And that's just going to make you mad if you're Snagged and Steelix, right?
Yeah,
you're like,
dude,
okay.
This is...
Okay, my guy.
It's straight mosquito gaming. That's exactly what Hardfind's doing right now. Like, look at him.
He's a little gnat, you know? He's a little gnat right now.
I don't think that Snag, Steelix, Paco really care, but like Hardfind has nowhere else to go.
What are you gonna do, right? If you're in this position, what are you gonna do? I think you said it best. Just try to walk away with the Elam point. Now he's gonna get the focus of. It looks like that's Ayers Trier out in the distance. Looks like Baffo out in the distance right there, I believe. Yeah. No, that's Downs actually. Downs, Pablo.
That's Downs. Yeah, Downs, Baffo, and Pablo.
Yeah. Which we haven't really seen. They're coming from all the way from Holly Hedges. So first time we've really seen them on the broadcast. And them themselves kind of in the same position right now of ADN's trio, trying to find that rotation, trying to find their footing here in the day 1 here of season 6 qualifiers round 4.
And if it wasn't already difficult for Hardfind, he's below Surge as well.
Now he's picking on Pablo.
Hope this mosquito's been working out. He's gonna have to pierce some pretty tough skin. Everyone's just kind of based up 3-man, 1 box in the hill. There's nothing a solo player can do here right now to really get more elims or even damage.
Now I see where we are. The zone is near Retail Row. A lot of mountains. We talk about them a lot. The reason why we bring them up, folks, is because they're very dangerous. And all the in-game leaders, the IGLs, the captains of the trios, or the tarpers who move out, they have to navigate these treacherous mountainsides. So something to keep an eye on, looking forward. Last time Savage got a zone in this area, Levin kind of pointed out, I think it was Reese, they kind of pointed out that they didn't really capitalize on having it. They were sitting on the blue antenna for a long time, and they were unable to get that kind of big point game that they wanted here because zone was gifted to them right at that outset. He's still in it, dude. Hardfind's still in it. I believe he could do something. I mean, that's all you want to do is, I mean, placements are important. They just start doling in a little bit earlier versus last season. So he could definitely do it. As you've seen here, Tayson on top of this prime real estate mountain. There's basically 3 or 4 mountains, as you're seeing, invested, right? 3 to 4 that they're going to guess to see if they're right. And they start to pull them, they're going to look good. But as you can see, everybody's kind of gambling on this situation here.
Looks like no man's land in a war. These builds are burned down. Savage and Ferox definitely clashed back and forth. Maybe there was one gas can thrown down. Savage still has the potential for another, but these guys will have to move in just a bit as well. It's kind of funny seeing Steamy and Dirty, the right side of the map, basically box to box at the same time. Hardfind gets found out. Goodbye.
just a matter of time, man. Just a matter of time. All it took is a trio to really decide, all right, enough. Get the fly swatter, you know, pull that out here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the leaderboard. As you see, Blasternikov Alpha in first place with 71 points. Nebs, Ubak, and Waze, 68 points. Of course, you have the user trio with 62 points, and Alex Snazy and Xsqueeze with 62, and Refsguard and Dreaded Savage with 59, who is currently sitting next to Verox there out there in no man's land, as you mentioned.
And this is like, oh my God, the 1 HP revive on an 8. I was about to say, if that's no man's land, this is no man wants to be here in this position at all. Man's land. What I'm trying to say is Tayson, Nate, 4ZR, rough spot, rotating free. One team from up top lands a mega beam onto Nate. He goes down and almost taken out. Remember, rebooting is basically impossible at this point. It was Andalex. And like this is just a rough spot for them. Andalex is still looking down, confident after that first beam that he can land a second. Meanwhile, though, Caddy corner gets feisty. Bunch of teams moving out, realizing they don't have zone. You were talking about the different mountains of investment. Some of the POIs are those investment spots as well. Find your timeshares. Choose right, because if you don't, you're gonna have to move fast and way far away. I think N1 went to the bathroom or something.
No, Andon, nah, man, he's vibing.
Andon,
yeah, Andon is kind of like one of the up and coming solo stars that we're seeing in the scene. Finished 10th in the solos cash cup. Very, very promising start. Let's see what they can do with Junku Jetsku, which we've seen before in the qualifying stages, but it looked like Andon is going to go ahead and maybe take a break. As you see, Light here and Mr. J and Milwaukee, they land down in Cape Cod, and they usually do a lot of damage here. Analyx picks up a knock on Milwaukee, so Analyx perks up a high, has been beaming with those mega beams left and right, Child.
They've been really good at taking shots all around. This time, though, kind of setting up a trap all the way towards this lower story of the house. Kira might just walk in. He does. It's free. And he lands a shot too. So you can go hunt down in zone to pick up Tayson like last game. You can find hard finding his own builds, or you can set up a little bit of a fly trap and find someone rolling right in and swat him up.
Sometimes you think that free box up there is the sweet honey. It's not what you want to be. There's some vital traps that's happening right there on Jam side, and Fury lose a very valuable member as Mexi goes down. So that rotate right there.
Wow.
As we, I don't know, this team, Hottie came out of nowhere with those peppers and just snuck up on them, and now they're rotating in. They got 4 meats, so they're gonna be able to survive as much as possible. They just gotta get in, as Tripper with some great leadership right now on this rotation. Doing well, dipping right into the meat, and they're gonna go right into Taco. Be able to chill right now. Put a little meat on that taco right there, looking really good, looking really solid, and getting some valuable elims right there, at least to start this match off with their first points.
They're gonna shield up and just watch Elocrats go straight down. Fully limited in the zone, unfortunate. But yeah, eating meat, everyone here right now is just trying to beef up completely and make sure they're ready for this end game. The most weird thing though is watching Verox go down when he was right next to Savage. Savage's trio is fully alive. I wonder, and it's kind of the most interesting part of Fortnite. 2 teams, basically the same spot in the zone, have very different storylines once you have to start moving. Right now, Nebs, Ubak, and Waze, previous game winners, want to make sure that they have their best way going in towards the zone. Everyone who's trying to move up though towards the mountain is getting just beamed down by these landlords who are here, who basically are saying that, yeah, there's no room for rent. We don't want any more tenants on these mountains. Stay down, stay below in that basement unit. There's nothing available for you here.
Wait. Slow down. We gotta say it's mom and dad. It's saying that you cannot live by yourself. If you're living under this roof, you're gonna have to follow my rules. And that's what Ingram is doing right there. It's Ingram right there, coming from Dirty Ducks, surviving that early engagement, had prime opportunity to move up early, and now he's sitting up there looking really good. Don't forget, Analyx's trio as well is going for those mountains as well. So some big time beams are sailing through, and the whole thing is, if you see a zone this way, everybody tries to get here as fast as possible, because they all know that the shovel could come out at any moment and you could get buried really quick. And look at this, Analyx so far, no knocks, but valuable storm surge tags. I mean, no confirmations on their knocks.
Yeah. I think the big thing too is that it's kind of looking like an alternate dimension of game 2. Like this one's kind of the snow variant, because it's Analyx all the way on height, not that many elims, one of the best spots And when they're on height, you know, they just dictate the rest of the game, especially when it's close to mountains. It's so easy for height to keep height overall.
But you talked about it, how they were having some kind of struggle issues being at height, and we already saw them on height, couldn't close out the Victory Royale. So let's see if they could do that this time around here in game 3.
Yeah, they kind of passed the first filter, which is surviving the 7th zone. That's usually where I was watching them fall a little bit. Primarily are that, you know, excellent mid-ground trio that likes doing the retake, but so far today they've shown us they're really good with control. Huge find for Savage, because just in general right now, these guys are so low on mats. They'll split it up and give him the reins to push forward in these boxes.
Who is the trio that pulled zone? Look at that. There's 2 trios that essentially pulled. They guessed correctly, and Refsguard and Dredda and Savage are going all the way down, slide down. And if you're wondering how they survived, is you could literally slide any kind of nice little angle. They just slid all the way down. So no one's going to be able to get eyes on them. So they're going to have a really clean rotation. The question is, can they get back up? Because that's where the danger is going to happen. Now you're seeing everybody making their way here. Link, Rotary, Mosh. I think this is the other trio here, as now you see Joe's trio kind of move right on top of him. It is Andelix. Andelix is at height, so Andelix has the dominant position here as 3 trios. They got a little layers here, but now Link, Rotary, and Mosh could look back into the line and get some beams here. They have to be careful here, because a bow could come in and stop their pushes, an arrow of a bow.
And for these rotations, it's like a bus trying to fit through a hallway. There's way too many teams trying to make it up top on this mountain. There's already builds in place in terms of the way you want to walk towards things. You see Link's trio a little bit overbuilding, having extra boxes forward so no one can roll in on them. There's nowhere for all these trios to run. Switching layers right now is so difficult. Going straight up, you'll be beamed down. And it's because X-Squeeze is beaming down on other teams, who then beam down on other teams, and the cycle, the chain continues until there's no spots left. It'll just be 16 teams that are allowed to play in this end game, one of the trickiest ever, as it goes up and around the bottom right side, the most mountainous of the map.
Taking a look at Analyx and Snazy, X-Squeeze, do they have the height endurance to hold on? It's gonna go right back a little bit, stay on the mountain.
They're in 4th place as well, so this is a big game
Looking
for them
good.
to
Big
overtake
game.
And hit first. You did mention though, Sancho, it's the VR they need.
They need it. They need it. Remember, tiebreakers is still a factor. Tiebreakers is still a huge factor in considering 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Going into this match, we're very close. And just taking a look, it was 62, 59, and 53 right now, separating 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Savage rolling in. He was looking at somewhere inside the top 10. Yeah, right now they're in 5th place overall, so right behind Andelix. Trying to find their way through, but they're not on height.
Ooh, great.
They're a little bit more shambles. Big
I love
jump.
this
Savage is
rotation.
moving fast. His teammates will be a little bit off tempo, off speed from him. So they'll have to wait to catch up. They finally come by. Big beams on the Floki. Not going to find anything so far. It's not the right side that's safe, though. They have to keep moving left. The zone is going on the edge of the mountain. We're basically grinding, skating on one of the highest points on the map.
Man, they wanted that dead side, but they had to go back left into the traffic there. But that was really looking really good. Like I mentioned, they had to get up, and they made that right rotation. Savage showing how great of a tarper he can be. But the story is Andelix and X-Squeeze and Snazy, we've seen them struggle on height. Can they capitalize right here and right now and get their way in a strong position on their leaderboard? So far, no elims.
No elims right now. They really need to just turn up the NOS and maybe shoot down on some teams. The thing, though, is when every time there's a mountain zone, there's like 2 different games of Fortnite that go on. There's this upper tier of the mountain where there's a few teams, not that much to find, and then there's a lower part of the map where all the elims are going down. Nice back beam from Andelix. He picks up 7 Tor. He connects all the way up top as well. They're so far away, so the damage won't be as hard because of the drop-off, but they have control.
That Primal rifle at that range just shreds. And that's what happened right there with that purple Primal rifle.
And now look at the tale of 2 worlds. We have Andelix on height, but down low, picking up the scraps. And Dredda, Savage, Refsguard, much more chaotic environment. Lands the shot on the jam side. 1 more shot to where's the zone. That's a full trio wipe. Shadow finds the light. He's no longer a person at all in the equation for this end game. And it'll be Dredda, Savage, and Refsguard who move through.
Top 4 right now. Top 4 valuable placement points are on the line here between 4th and 3rd. It's still a big-time jump right now. Savage goes down, so it's going to be Andretta and Revscard. You're seeing in the feed, Jack Will and Rotary are doing really well. Snazy, Squeeze, and Analyx, so far, I haven't seen them in the feed right now. They're not really capitalizing, so now the Victory Royale is super important from them. Highcrest is still up. Rotary is still up. Andretta is barely alive. This is game 4 of day 1. Season 6 going down, and so far, Analyx and Squeeze and Snazy have been in this position before, and they get the Victory Royale, and they pick up so many elims out of nowhere, be able to put so much pressure, and also as well, combined with the Storm side, what was that, 8 elims in the Victory Royale, I think?
They ramped up, and it's because there was nowhere to hide for anyone. That last game, we saw a bunch of different teams basically hiding over old bills. This time, there was no shot. They had free sight lines on every single person on that mountain.
You said they had to go into turbo mode, and they did. They did, and that was such a crucial game for them to put all together and get that very valuable Victory Royale.
Yeah, the thing is, though, how far did they climb up, right? Because they were 4th rolling into this, so how does it look all the way towards the top spot? And where did everyone kind of trickle down? The desk has the answer. Zeke, Levin, Reese, what you got for us?
Thank you guys so much. As always, great cast on the day so far. Halfway through the competition, and this is the team that we zeroed in on coming out of yesterday's games. We said this is the trio that's performing the best. And now, Reese, they're firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, really, really hot out the gate there. And, you know, they got some good RNG. We'll say they got some good RNG, getting that 5th zone really, really close to them. But it's not like you can just put it all down to getting good RNG. They capitalized on it. We've seen the first 2 games, people have not capitalized on getting that good RNG. And then, you know, that first moving zone kind of pulled up the mountain, and we saw Savage and Blaster all the way down there at the bottom in the sticky situation. And, you know, we saw Savage do a really good job getting out of that. But because that zone pulled over the hill, our high ground team, you know, they're spraying down, not able to get too many eliminations because they can't get that far ahead of the zone. But as soon as that zone stopped pulling downhill, everyone's run out of mats because they're on low ground. It's chaos going down, and that just enabled them to pick up so many eliminations just because there's just these shambles players down below.
Yeah, look, last game I said it was coming, right? I did say it was coming.
You did say that.
I believe, because honestly, when you see what these guys have been able to do in other rounds and other competition, they will have these games. And I think Reese puts it well, where, you know, it doesn't come down to completely RNG, but if you give them the zones, they're going to take advantage, right? You expect them to do so. So not a surprise in terms of the way in which they played out height there. Super impressive stuff. And we actually wanted to highlight this game, right? One of the more underdog teams, a team that has the ability to maybe sneak their way into that top 3 slot coming into the last couple games and auto qualies.
Yeah, you know, coming into this last game, these guys were in 7th. We'll see an upgrade in the leaderboard where these guys come, but I've been really, really impressed with Joe, Stompy, and Shadow throughout the kind of first 3 rounds of this weekend and through the Cash Cup so far. You know, they have a really, really synergistic playstyle that I love to see, and we saw them trying to play it in that last game where these guys try to get ahead of the zone first moving, and you can see, if you watch it from Joe's perspective while they're doing this, he's just looking up, he's staring at high ground, looking to the ceiling for an opportunity to take it. And if you know anything about Stompy, you know his name is synonymous with taking height and destroying height. So these guys have like this full high ground strategy in them, and that game, you know, it was looking like they could have done it. They set it up in that 5th zone, they had the potential to take the high ground going out there, but unfortunately Andalex's team on height was just too good.
Yeah, you can see here first place, Andalex, Snazy, NX Squeeze will be in first place coming into this game. And look, Nebs, Booback, Waze still able to, you know, sort of be in that sort of auto-call spot. Refscard and Mr. Savage, though, they've sort of been creeping their way up here, and it is nice to see them in that sort of auto-call spot. We sort of highlighted them at the top of the show. Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha, though, they sort of went down relatively early in comparison to where we've seen early, and so, you know, definitely need to sort of figure out what went wrong there and, you know, try to get back on form, because we'd hate to see these guys sort of fall out.
Yeah, and, you know, we mentioned Joe, Stompy, Shadow. We did a whole, we think these guys could clutch up into the top 3. They're currently in 6th place right now. So they moved up 1 slot, but look at their match history. They come 10th, they come 7th, they've come 7th again. And for a team who has such a dominant high ground strategy, such as Joe, Stompy, and Shadow, these games aren't bad at all. You know, these games are essentially where their strategy isn't working out and they're not able to capitalize because you have really dominant high ground teams like Andalex, Nathan X Squeeze really, you know, controlling that. They're not able to take advantage of it, but still, without their main strategy, they're still 6th out of 33 teams. So in these next 3 games coming along, if they have an opportunity to take high ground, I think we're going to see a second or a victory royale coming at these guys, and I swear these guys are going to climb up that leaderboards at this point.
Hey, look, Reese, you know, we try to give that in-depth analysis all the time, but look, you know, they moved up 1 after that game. You know, there's 3 games left. Move up 1, 3 more times. They're sitting in 3rd. That's all. Sometimes
Mathematical
it's just that
genius.
That's all you need, Reese. It's just simple maths, the quick maths. So yeah, like those guys have impressed, and I expect them to eventually have their sort of pop-off game beyond what they've already been able to achieve.
My, oh my. Well, gentlemen, we only have 3 more games here in qualifier number 1. So we'll have to see which trios do find themselves in the top 3 spots and move on to finals, and who else will be competing for series points. For now, though, as the action heats up, we got to cool down. We're going to step away, but when we come back, the final 3 games from Europe here from the FNCS. We'll see you guys in just a little bit. What's going on, Fortnite fam? Welcome back to the Fortnite Champion Series. It's your boy, it's Zeke, joining us here on the analyst desk. We've got Reese, we've got Levin, and guess what? We've got games. That's right, we're not staying here too long because we're ready to jump back into the action. We only got 3 games left. Let's see how things unfold here in the European region. Sancho and Shy Wager, over to you guys.
That's right, baby. That's right. That's right. That's right. EU's looking good. It's looking strong. Sancho, we're ready for the back half of games right now. A lot of different winners, a lot of different styles of games, but it looks like Andalex is the star of the show that squeezed by his side.
They're looking really good. And the whole thing that we kind of brought up during the spotlight was worried how they had 0-1, like 3 0-1 games. All that is out the window. We've seen them what they can do in a set lobby when they have everything controlled, when they have the rotations, when they know who they're competing against at their drops. They're able to come up on top with an average placement of basically 2. Are you kidding me? And so far, they're looking really good. And hey, big thing. Remember, if you finish first in the qualifying round like last season, yeah, maybe you may walk away as FNCS champions, just like Janice, Han, and Chapix did last season.
Yeah, let's ready to take it to grand finals too. But here right now we have Jesku, Andon, and Joku. But a sneaky game that is not that tactical anymore. They're running straight into boxes. I thought that man was about to get pickaxed, but no. Eric just gets wiped off the planet of Fortnite.
Yeah, that goes that trio right then and there. And Wolfie's trio is, I was just seeing in the previous games, they've been having some issues. We asked, how is Wolfie's and passive trio, how are they going to do? We haven't really seen them go head to head in the previous rounds here for those qualifiers, and so far it's not looking good for Wolfie.
Having a tough time here and there still. This fight near Flush Factory, we'll see Wishy is getting completely overtaken on height. These guys are low on mats. N1's refarming right now, so they're actually getting stronger as Jetsu moves up. I've never seen those many misses in a row. Jesku's very lucky to be alive right now, but just by the skin of his teeth. As that happens, Andon also gets taken on the right side, so it's all up to Joku, who's the healthiest on the squad.
Last time we saw Andon and the trio, they were making a rotation out of caddy corner. They were there in the mid game, and right now the chances of them walking away even to the later stages of the early game may not be true, as all up to Jetsu and Joku. So hold on tight, but I think it was an Andon that had himself a purple pump, so that's going to go over to the other side. That's a trade you do not want to see. As I mentioned, Flush Factory has an opportunity to definitely get some deadly pumps right out the gate. And now it's just a moment here as so many elims are happening. Ingram actually goes down. That trio is out. Rojo's trio is out. And Aditro's trio is out. As so is Desolator is out as well. Desolator, that trio's out. So multiple trios already out here in the second half of the day.
What does this mean for Jetsu and Wishy as well? Oh my god, sliding right in.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Jetsu somehow survives. I've seen this happen over and over again. This is the shot that's easiest to land. Somehow he's like dodging it almost. And now against Fly, yes, he kind of has the backhand advantage, but the longer he makes this fight go down, Mori just needs one good shot to hit and take Fly down entirely. He goes for the straight up med kit. Fly opts for the vertical play just to drop down on him if he sees him. And it does get popped. Goes down and finds even more. So gets a card. Can he hog out the med kit? So he can. Might make it up there. Might save at least one teammate on his team. The man is trying to clutch.
Now we're seeing Gogo's trio, who typically land out in Camp Cod. They decided to move down to Risky Reels, seeing that it is a kind of somewhat available. And Floki Deceptos and Clement, you're seeing how aggressive they are, rotating so much out of Pleasant Park. Now, I want to point out, we are joining in the action a little bit later than usual. So this is where we're seeing Clement, Floki Deceptos. So far, no elims in there. So most likely, I'm going to take a look here. I think Benji's trio is still up on their feet. Yes, I did confirm that they're still up on their feet. So that is what we're working with here when we jump into game 4. And that's the way it's going to be in most of the cast going forward. So game 4, we kind of jump in a little bit late into the action, usually about midpoint of the early game.
That first zone's already almost wrapped up. This is the most interesting thing, though, is the fact that both Floki and Benji made it off spawn.
True.
Looks like it did cost.
Oh no, they're
okay,
here.
Hold on.
Hold up, wait a minute.
Pause.
Big pause.
Rewind and then replay because these guys are here. They're back. They got mats. They have 17 points. This is the comeback game.
They're not messing around, dude. They put on the bandanas and everything, you know. The power of Benji's Fishy's outfit here to play, and they're all going into like some kind of guerrilla warfare. We're talking about explosive gas cans. They're doing all that they can to turn their favor. Look at that, 17 points for the day. They can't be happy at all, and you're just showing right now. They're not messing around. They're here to try to third party and maybe get 2 trio wipes right here. And hey, it could be these 2 games. These 2 games could kind of, or these 3, instead of 3 games, could essentially pop them off right here. Just because you have a bad half doesn't mean you can have a great second half, you know?
Absolutely, but it needs to start happening now, especially the way they're just being really aggressive and looking for a position for a fight or an all-in. They're not really moving around the map to look for a spot to beam. They could have ignored this entirely, gone through the left side of Orchard. You see a beige arrowed team on the minimap right there a few seconds ago, also rotating on the left side. You can see them on the upper portion of the screen right now. They could have had that option. They could have just moved all the way towards a better spot to get beams, but this is personal for Amplify. Matzo wants revenge. Benji needs to hit those shots, gain the momentum. Pocket gas can will let it all happen, but it has to be ignited at the right time.
And right now, just literally a kind of like a collateral trio is a tax trio who's just like, you know, we're just trying to watch, just drive it out here and risky reels. You know, we're just trying to loot up, chill, calm, hit up all the cars, get on the mechanical parts, maybe hit up the popcorn guy for a little bit and hang out for a bit, get some gold. Nah, that ain't happening. That scrum literally rolled out of Pleasant Park into risky reels. Now we're taking a look at High Chris, Knight, and Vortex, who have been battling in Lazy Lake. They lose High Chris in this battle here, and now they're trying to make the rotations. And this has been the theme at the entire day. They're not clean rotations like they have been last season. I feel like last season, everybody usually fought in Storm. They usually fought on the edge. But I'm now noticing here is a lot of scrums are happening along the way. And it all depends on what kind of inventory they have. Maybe they don't have the common ARs. Maybe they don't have the classic ARs, so to speak. With those primals, and sometimes if you end up with a makeshift rifle, you're gonna have to get a little bit closer, a little bit more in your opponent's face, as you can see Vortex go for a reboot out in Colossal Crops.
Vortex will get his team up. Everyone else all around will just heal up. But this is so tricky, Sancho. We saw in that last game when it's a mountain or some crazy type of natural lore, high ground, it's so much easier to abuse those hills, those lines of sight, to move in and get a little bit more snuggly with the teams around you. When it's open like this one, when you're at a park or an open field, it's so much harder to move. So every team is kind of more spaced out. They're still on their old bases. Very hard to change their destiny, so to speak. Is that still in a bush right now, right behind Light? Am I seeing that correctly?
Oh yeah. The bush strat is a valuable strat. Oh, Amplify gets tagged with a bow. That arrow's getting stuck right in the most likely the clavicle, right then and there. It's around the shoulder area if you're not familiar with anatomy. Near the collarbone. But those men, there's nothing like getting arrowed because then you're like, I don't know where that came from. You're looking around like I have no idea what's happening. And it's also worth noting that basically so much is happening right now. And Alexis trio and Joe's trio are the only trio who's finishing in the top 10 in these first 3 games. And Mr. J and KS Light right now, Milwaukee coming all the way from Camp Cod, now in a scrum. Milwaukee's trio, very mechanical, very sound, and you said they're in that bush. Eventually they'll find you. And Mr. J goes down, so it's up to KS Light and Milwaukee here to hold on as Amplify knocks Deceptos. But hey, sometimes, you know, the players in the bush, you they get that one crack on you, man. Before you know it, you're on the back foot yourself.
I think the biggest thing for these bush bandits, so to speak, is the fact that they're probably low on mats. They're probably not complete in their loadout. This is going to be huge for them moving forward, or they're just having a bunch of extra loot to work with. It was somewhat good position on zone. This is kind of dragging out though. They need to find Milwaukee fast. There it is. Backfire drops in, picks it up. Chrissy's watching everything go down though. They'll have all those mats available to them. Only made about maybe 3 or 4 boxes to really take this entire thing by storm. They have to move though. The zone is going to be moving shortly.
And that is the trio coming from Boney Burbs Hydro. We've seen so many successful elims against the Salators trio right there. So moving on, doing really well. Still scrums are coming out all over the place. Alpha Blaster and Nikov, we were kind of talking about how they were able to climb with the leaderboard so well. They slipped down a little bit. Now they're in 4th place. Coming into this match, they're in 4th place right now. This is one of those trios that we all have eyes on, because if they make it, then you're going to see them clash again against the FNCS champion, the reigning champions of Hen, Janice, and Chapix. And that in itself is going to be a big time drop spot fight. But that's more on that later. They still have to get there, Shayo.
They do. Every team is kind of on that path to get towards the top spot, get towards grand finals. Once again, it's top 3 today. Completely
Only
changing
3.
the way we watch FNCS. It's not just a breeze. It's not just those consistent players that you watch in every FNCS, the top of the top, you know, placing top 10. It's about being in the top 3. Squeeze stranger to that, just 1 place off last season. In terms of the very, very end of the finals, these guys just in general need to just clinch it today. Right now, they are in 1st. This is the team to watch. Hold on to what seems to be qualification right now. But around them, Blaster, Nikov, Alpha looking in the top 4. We saw them at one of those high bases. They're right next to Mexi, who's 23rd. Rotary, Mosh, Link, 5th at the moment too. 2 places away from the outside in. They really need this game to go well.
This is going to be a repeat zone to where when Bobak was able to walk away, Bobak was able to get a victory royale. We know Bobak is sitting on that Guardian Tower on vacation, like we mentioned earlier, so they could cash in and maybe get another high finish. And Bobak's trio was really, they're sitting in 2nd place with Nebs and Wade, so they're looking really good. This is going to be a crucial game, like we mentioned with Analex's trio in the previous one. This is going to be crucial for them to cash in right here, right now, as we're seeing the Fly 96 trio going up against Benji trio. Benji did get knocked. I'm not sure if he got confirmed right there, but Amplify and Mats were able to hold on strong.
1 second till we see who has advantage, and it's primarily the majority of teams on the map. Just need to move forward, not make any mistakes, build in the right spots. They will get punished, take damage, slow down, fall behind. Don't want that chain of events to happen to any one of your teams. With Peppers though, Squeeze might actually make the call to do this fast rotation now. If that happens though, they won't have these Peppers to overtake height. If they do it late enough though, Sancho, right? They can chain Peppers from 4th all the way to 5th zone and maybe get towards high ground in this next one, half and half.
And anytime zone pulls away from this trio, they really rely on Peppers. So those max pulls and those moving zones, especially in zone 5, it is the Peppers that kind of buy them the swing, but they get some beams as they're going to go across this crosswalk and they get in that crossfire just a little bit, but we got to keep an eye on that Pepper watch. Because anytime they dive into that Peppers, you know that they'd rather hold on to them. And every time I'm watching VOD reviewing them, those Peppers were very crucial for them to get those unfortunate zone pulls. So we'll keep an eye on that. And Snazy goes down, and that's going to slow them down a little bit. I feel like I've seen this kind of zone before. I'm really thinking, I feel like in NA East, we've seen this kind of zone with Zate's trio was able to sit on top of that mountain, do some damage here. So let's see what the EU region could kind of do with this kind of puzzle piece that's been played right in front of them. Just getting word that Benji trio is actually gone, eliminated.
Wow.
What a rough start for them to start their season 6 FNCS journey. 23rd. Wow.
We'll still have a chance to clap back. Top 3 might be a little bit too far though. We're basically getting into the home of Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha right now in terms of Craggy Cliffs. See Nebs up top as well. Stompy's there too. All the top 6 are here to play. Juan put aside MXR though are kind of in trouble in their own box. Big shots being taken around. It's Paxi this time. They're going to be fighting. This is a team, remember, that has a very good potential of ending up winning this game, especially with all these elims. Just have to make sure they can convert. They have one of those victory royales as well. 16th place though. So after that win, ended up fizzling out. Need to clap back. His low ground playstyle is very hard to play though. when you don't have a lot of cover and a lot of favorable zones to bounce back on you. 1200 damage above Surge. They can do whatever they want for, you know, however long they want, though. Don't have to worry about damage at all.
Yeah, these north zones they've been working really well with today. The south zone is what the factor where they kind of been having their issues. And anything that pulls north in the future games, expect Podesai Trio to do really well considering they land center.
New windows of opportunity. See Jamside, Fury, and Dementos completely free, mostly healthy, and moving forward here. Not having issues with begin fights. Same thing for what looks like Nate 4ZR. They're also looking very healthy right now, though. It's a double move of two trios. We're very close to each other on leaderboards, moving towards the gods of position right now. Maxi, Michael, Virox, all the way up top.
4ZR picks up a knock on Falcon Lee. It looks like that was on the rotation and on Pablo. So 4ZR making some movement right here, opening up that rotation pathway, and Mosh is just kind of following him, as you mentioned right there. And 4ZR gets the Elim, but now, hey, just because you saw one person go, that doesn't mean you're not going to get for free, as the beams ran down and Link and Rotary are out. And Mosh is going to continue on without the trio, but he's not done yet on this rotation. He still has to keep going, and you mentioned it was solo match 18 builds, and it's not enough as he gets eliminated right there by Virox's trio. And now the rest of the lobby is starting to focus right there, as you see his Squeeze and Analyx and Snazy make their way through. Go all the way to the road. Look at that nice rotation. They literally had a max pull from the south side, and they made themselves way all the way too close to the north side. So maybe they had a couple more peppers in that back pocket, but so far no peppers now in their inventory. They're gonna have to do this, and they pulled zone 6.
It's deserved, though. Just take in what this team just did, how good they are.
That was such good.
Basically,
so good.
There was a team in front of them. They rotated better and faster than them, turned around and eliminated them all within 20 seconds. That's insane.
It's the peppers. The peppers. They have more peppers. If they could walk away with all those peppers from Caddy Corner, it just leads to so much opportunities on these rotations.
They're gonna need way more than peppers though right now. I believe it is 4ZR. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Nate and Tayson all the way up top on height, and this is height that is supported so well. That being said though, low ground is elevating very close to their lair. They're gonna have to build a little bit higher. You see Tayson going up exactly right. Yep, he's going straight up. Might be able to connect that big base in front of them as well. That happens, they get stronger. Analyx though finds very good footing. Mexi, Michael, although Virox is down, still have a chance in this game. Big Pump goes through on the left side. You watch their right though. Two directions of terror, and right before them or right in front of them, it's not free at all. They're so far low on low ground, they're gonna be stuck. Front and back, Jamside is going and trying to find shots, but doesn't get them. Fury wraps it up, but with a big cost because the rest of his team is basically gone.
The trade is just real, and Shadow was there to benefit from it all. Can the height team benefit for so much action down below? Tayson, 4ZR, and Nate, we're gonna need this type of opportunity to get up the leaderboard right now going into this match. 14th place. So far, haven't been able to put together that kind of signature win that we all know that they're capable of. Xweez and Snaze and Analyx trying to go up the mountain. They're getting a couple of beams, but just look how congested this is. And Storm Surge is tagging them, and they're on the wrong side of this one, Shia. Oh my goodness, it's not looking good.
They've been running too long. They need to start shooting. They need to find something. The next one's gonna be shield crack. Just 3 above though. It's fine. More beams. 52 below. Have been flow. 12 above. Okay, it's all good now. 28 different players still alive. Storm Surge is gone. It's just gonna be natural gameplay, but look at how exhausting it was to live through that. Snazy down to 30 HP. Andalex with 40. Xweez also affected 69. Now they're looking for shots back and forth. Not gonna find much on their lair. Meanwhile, Tripper's popping off in the feed. Xweez has to burst down. They want control of something. Stacy gets clipped while it's trying to happen. AD and Heartfind and Astro found their way up top. Where did Nate go? What happened on height? We have new leaders.
There it is. 4CR forced down to the low ground and swept up right then and there. AD and Trio overtaking height and over the opportunity to get the victory royale. As you're seeing, Zone is pulling away from the mountaintop, so a lot of builds are going to be expended here. MXR with Podesai and Juan last year. Such a big game, Shia. 12 Elans right now, and they're looking really solid right now in the top 7.
Pop and Jelly's gonna make sure everyone gets healed. It's a community effort for these guys right now, but sometimes individuality is what actually shines through in these end games. 8 Zone is getting too claustrophobic for a full team to be inside boxes now. It's gonna be troublesome in just a few seconds. AD and Astro hard find. They're up top. They have control. They're raining down shots. The umbrellas are wearing thin. The builds for Juan, for Podesai, for MXR, but they get another zone. Just like the game they won. Things are going so good for them. So right. And they have 3 floppers for the heal game as well.
It's all coming down to these last moments here. Top 4 situation here. This is game 4 right now. As Podesai does go down, MXR does have 3 floppers here.
They're all in.
They're all in. He's going to have to try to sneak his way through. But look, the zone just goes up just a little bit of a mountain. So MXR has to rotate so far on the outside here. Hard by 80 and Astro is now applying the pressure down below. Pressure's being applied, but MXR just gets in. Hardfind does have the hide opportunity here to go down, and Astro, ADN, and Hardfind find MXR and find themselves a victory royale with 9 elims. We were wondering when ADN's trio is going to be able to pop off. We were wondering when they're going to put it together. Just forming last season, what a big time win to get them into contention for the top 3.
I need to know exactly how they took height as well. At the end, though, just a washing machine for all the other players. That's what they put them in. Their shot's still dirty, and they came out looking clean at the end of it. Got to see the desk. Got to see exactly what Revan, and Zeke has cooked up for this game.
Well, we're revving up with the action here. It's Revan. That's them. Boys, Astro Hardfind and ADN here. Great victory royale moment, but gotta give props to MXR, right? That flopper play secured him the 2nd place. That's the cheekiness that we need to be moving up and trying to make a claim on one of those top 3 spots.
Yeah, and that team, MXR's team, they performed really good in that first game. Remember, they got the victory royale, but the other 2 teams, they were basically just instantly eliminated off spawn kind of before Storm Surge even ticked in. So didn't do so good, but this game, they've kind of clutched up. I'm definitely sure they're going to be climbing up the leaderboards, but when it comes to ADN's team, these guys were, that second height team. Shio said, how did they get height? How did they do this? It was that end of second moving zone there. They're keeping that second height. They're doing exactly what we talked about earlier with Joe's team, where they're just looking up over and over and over again. They see the opportunity when Andalex's team was running kind of low on materials. We saw them kind of scuffing that low ground. Sorry, when Nate's team was on height there, kind of low on materials, and they just took their opportunity in that perfect moment. Spray up, build up all at the same time, and there's almost nothing that Nate's team could have done at that moment.
Yeah, I think those guys, especially when it comes to ADN's trio, right? Good friends of mine, and I do like to see them do well. They were sort of complaining a lot about not getting the zones today. Boys, this is a craggy zone. This is as far away from Slurpee as possible. So you clearly can do well, even when the zones aren't in your favor. So really happy to see those, guys sort of rise up the standings. I want us to sort of look at the teams who have that potential, though, right? To push their way into that top 3. There are a couple teams now where it's coming down to the crunch time where, you ultimately need to do everything you can to secure those points. And in particular, right, you want to look at sort of 3rd, 4th, and 5th, right, where we can sort of look at these teams and see what is going on with them and how they're sort of standing going into these final games.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to do, right? Coming into this game right here, we had the teams who are in 3rd, which is Mr. Savage at this point. And these guys, what they need to do, remember, top 3 is what was really, really important. Refscart, Drea, and Mr. Savage, they have been performing all day so far. A little bit of a couple slip-ups here and now and again. We saw them in a really good position that first game, not really managing to kind of capitalize on that fully. But that last game, they ended up going down 25th with 0 eliminations. So in these next 2 games, they're going to have to climb the leaderboards an additional 3 points. They're currently 11 points behind. So keep that in mind. These guys need at least a big game to pull them up into that kind of auto-qual for grand qualifications slot.
Yeah, they need to have a big game. And speaking of big games, Nikov, Alpha, and Blaster, these guys need to have a big game. They started off hot, right? They started off really, really well on the day. They're one of the stronger trios, especially coming out of Craggy. They're a team that is going to want to make it to finals, right? They want to meet Hen, Janice, and Chapix at Craggy Cliffs in the finals, and they're not scared of them. I'll tell you that much. They are definitely not scared. So it'll be really, really interesting to see if these guys can sort of step up, be one of those teams to auto-qual so that they can meet those guys in the finals.
Yeah, and Link, Rotary, and Mosh, the last team. So these guys were in 4th coming into this. I think they're still in 4th right now. They're currently 9 points behind the qualification points. All up and over the place, right? They had a 17th, a 10th, a 2nd, and then a 17th again. So really only making a top 10 in one game, but not being eliminated off spawn. So they're not struggling with their Storm Surge at all. Just really kind of struggling with that 4th and 5th zone. But let's kind of look at the full leaderboards. We've got Andalex, Snazy, and X-Squeeze up in that 1st place. They are still holding on strong. You know, their placement, we saw that really incredible placement from Andalex, Snazy, and X-Squeeze. They managed to kind of keep somehow, with all the shambles going on down low ground, they managed to rotate down to the dead side of zone, get a really clean path with absolutely no builds and all regroup together. Huge plays from them to kind of clutch up a 5th in that last game.
Yeah, they were able to hold on for just long enough. You can see Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha were able to push themselves into that 3rd place slot now, but it's not comfortable, right? They need to sort of have a good couple last games if they want to secure that spot, because Link, Rotary, and Mosh are not far behind whatsoever. So be really interesting to see, man. We always talk about big game players, who are going to be those people to get these big games, to have these huge clutch moments, and now is when you want to start pulling them out the back.
Yeah, and 3rd right now is 111 points. So all these teams in 11th, remember, you get a ton of points for a Victory Royale. So we'd see like 4ZR, Tayson, and Nate right here, a team definitely capable of picking up to Victory Royale, who can just probably slide themselves straight up into that top 3 as long as one of these teams, potentially Blaster's team, doesn't perform. So 2 games left. It's definitely not solidified who's qualified in the top 3 right now. Andalex, it's going to be tough to kick them out because they've done such a good job and they don't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. But any of these other teams that you're seeing kind of down to 10th, even lower than that, can pop off in these next 2 games.
It is the tale as old as time. We go into that final game, we're like, oh, everything's, this is locked in. There's no way anything changes. Boom! RNG strikes, and another team has jumped up, disqualified. Anything goes in the land of Fortnite. It's a lawless town out here, okay? With a few games left, we'll have to see which of these trios pulls off the unthinkable, or perhaps the first time we'll see the top 3 say, no, this is our turf. Stay away. But with that, it's time to jump back into the action. We're kicking it back over to Suntrust and Shy Wager for the next game, the FNCS.
Not a completely lawless town. We have a few rules, and that's always the format, how these guys get those points. It's very close all around right now. Just to remind you, placement is 30 total. Elims are 2 each. Everything else, though, Zeke's right. You can do whatever you want, push forward, win that game.
And you're talking about what is at stake. It's the top 3, but what a great push from ADN's trio. Coming into that previous game, 19th place. Now they're in 10th place. And so far, 8 animals mentioned. Let's go.
Got the whole game to cover, though, man. It'll be a long season.
I got a lot of species to cover. I didn't even cover the reptiles yet,
They're scary when they're around the map. Still, game 5, final 2. What do you think? Andalex, Snazy, X-Squeeze, kind of 20 points ahead. They're looking comfortable.
Are you asking, are they a lock right now?
Yeah, lock for first.
I mean, we talked about what was the most dangerous part for them was their spawn fights, right? In a kind of qualifiers in the early rounds, multiple people came by. Even Aqua's trio at one point contested them in the qualifiers in the earlier rounds. In a set lobby, no one's going to do that. No one's going to come down from Weather Station. No one's going to push them. They're going to have free reign. Literally right now, Snazy, after he loots there, he's going to go all the way down to the bunker chest out in the cabin. That's how much flexibility they have. If they want to get spicy with it, sometimes they go down to Camp Cod. So their world's their oyster at the moment right now. They can do whatever they want. But that's that trio. This trio right here, Wolfie's trio with Void and Slender, they've been having the kind of opposite type of situation, considering that they are contested. And because Retail Row, we mentioned residential is such the strong side of this POI. You want to play for that, only the bunker chest in Yellow House, but the bunker chest outside of the Retail Row area. And Wolfie's Void and Slender, they haven't done it yet. They haven't been able to put it together. But now we're taking a first look at the Storm here. Look at it. They have opportunities to be here. This means there's so much opportunities for the people in the south area. I'm seeing Jam side to do well. Andalex is going to do really well. The question as well is, I want to know, can Podosai kind of cash in here as well? He has an opportunity to put together a back-to-back strong game. If he can, Podosai and that trio can make their way up their leaderboard, considering that right now they're in 8th place. So in striking distance, considering the top 3 is at 111 place. So string together a solid game and maybe a pop-off game, then you're looking really good.
I still think for this trio here, top three has to be locked in. Unless something crazy happens.
Top three. Okay. Okay, yeah, Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha. This may be crazy. They're coming from Craigie right now. That's a tough rotation. They're going to have to make their way all the way down south. And at the same time, we all know if Benji's trio is up, Clement's trio, they're going to make that rotation. They're going to cut them off. It's kind of like I'm a weatherman right now. You know what I mean? You got that storm front coming in from the hotness that's coming in right now from Nikov, which has been doing really well. And then you got that cold front coming in of Benji's because, you know, Benji's trio has been kind of cold today. That cold front could come in, kind of trip them all up.
I don't know, man. Whatever the weather is, these guys have peppers. They don't feel the wind. They don't feel the cold. They get
This
through
team?
every single, yeah, this team.
Yeah,
They get through every single condition, like essentially for free. So I feel like off today, like it's their zone too. Like they have caddy.
And you may be wondering, I know, you know, sometimes it's like, where's the action? I want to see, you know, we're watching Snazy loot up, but so far no one's fallen yet. We're setting the stakes, we're setting the table, we're letting you know who's doing really well, who has an opportunity to get into the top three, letting you know what's going to happen, make sure what stories you need to keep an eye on. Now, the other teams, the rest of the board here in the next two games, Shio, they're competing for series points. They can still get into the next semifinal stage through series points. It's like top 99, I believe you'll be able to move in. And they accumulate that through performance throughout the entire qualifiers. But this time, last season, there was 4 qualifiers to accumulate these points. Now there's only 3. It's a little bit more pressure for all these trios competing today.
And for High Chris too, it's not just that he's, or like it's not, you know, guaranteed. For this week at least, he's going to be focusing on getting the most series points, like 92 points, tied for 4th place, still very close to the top 3.
I would say the victory for them is being able to win Lazy Lake. Look at it. Before, previously, they were having these engagements. Now they have it all to themselves. So that in itself is a win. That is something that you could, a moral victory that you could walk away with. And when it comes to Fortnite competitive, is especially the way it's all drawn out through weeks, is you want to have these kind of moral victories to kind of set yourself up for future qualifiers. As you see here, as Snazy does go down, my question is, like I mentioned, Snazy does go venture out on his own to the cabin down to the bunker chest. He may have got caught out there. It's a very dangerous split to take off that far, basically coastal. So keep an eye on what happened to Analyx. But I did see in the previous round, Shio, Analyx and Xweez, they got a victory royale as a duo with 19 elims. Granted, it was a key game. It was the last game of the round 3 for them. But they popped off and they held hype by themselves really handily. Can they do it in this set lobby? Big question.
Huge question. Huge question. Still, they have room to work with, right? It's 20 to second, almost 4 or 30 to or more than 20. My math is just like actually toppling down the hill that Analyx is walking on. 20 to second place, and then a little bit more all the way to third. They have a big lead or like room for error, basically just 1 game's worth of if Nebs makes mistakes. Ferox, Michael, and Mexi, though, these guys are pushing up and going for hot spots.
I think it was Michael that found Snazy. Michael has 1 elim. This is where Snazy likes to go. He likes to check out that bunker chest. It's a very valuable chest to get. It's just like in this cabin area, and I think Michael's able to get, who knows, and maybe Ingram, he picked up an elim on trio, but somebody around these parts picked off Snazy. But right now, Michael's trio was one of my favorite trios going into this event, considering, like, I just got to give them major props. They got pushed out of their drop spot last season, and they did really well. And Michael has been the kind of a cool person to interact with on social media. And at the same time, right now for this trio, Michael is currently sitting right now on the outside, not necessarily in the top 3, running their 19th place going into this match. But wow, Rotary is someone who is in the running. Oh my goodness. That is not good, because Rotary was right there in the top echelon of the leaderboard, Shio.
That was tied for 4th place. It'll be up to High Chris now. Kind of overtake. Perfect spot for him to move up the board. Refsguard and Dread Savage as well are right behind, but they're not even in the same world that we're watching right now. This is the south side of the zone, the south side of the map. So much more freedom to move around and get into box fights. It's not just about beams. It's about pickaxing those walls and doing that big shotgun damage.
Ooh.
Big shot on a jet scoot. For a nice read there from Wishy. And then I'll just send him right back on full defense.
I thought Jetsku almost got a cone, and he went for it. He jumped up, was able to almost catch that cone. Now he has to retreat here. These are the kind of investments that don't necessarily pay off here. As Wishy Trio is applying the pressure, flies 96, lets out an arrow, doesn't connect here. Any big time connection is going to be a huge factor to kind of close out this engagement quickly. As you see, other trios are now coming up. He's going to send one, just misses. Oh, okay. Ooh. Nice tag, 85. Nice. That was a body shot.
This blue variant, I believe, if he hits the head, that's the one tap.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
good.
Oh, yeah.
So nice shot here will be huge. Another team rolling up, though. Lucky Milwaukee Light. The boys down from Cam Cotter, done fishing. Wait a minute. Might have to go back and fish some more. Light gets hit big with a bow as he tries to peek. And these shots are on point now, man. Game 5, no one's messing around.
No one's messing around. I mean, we talked about top 10 being in striking distance to be able to put together a string of 2 games back to back to be able to get them up the board. This is near the minimum to the bottom of the board here. Still, series points at play for them, so that's why they're playing this hard. As you see, Verox does pick up a knock and a confirmation on Wolfies. Wolfies' trio cannot find their footing here today, but that is one of those trios that just formed together last minute. They still have opportunities, if they stick together as a trio, to still rack in series points. Remember, if you disband as a trio, your series points reset. A lot of questions for that trio going forward if they decide to stick together or disband.
We get pulled even more towards the south side. These fights happening towards the left aren't the best to have right now. Not the coolest idea. Dirty's moving in late. Fly, those getting active, looking for bullets to land. Nothing does, though, right in front of him. The teammates are very weak. Wishy taking shots from Milwaukee, taking shots from a different trio as well. Stinks rolling through the boxes. This is just, this is not good.
It's not good. And if you took a look at the map for a second, the fight that's happening south of Lazy Lake is over a bunker chest opportunity. So Lazy Lake, like I mentioned, has become a hotspot with the introduction of the bunker chest introduced into this season. If you don't know where they are, they're usually chests inside the ground. You could get yourself a strong purple weapon. At the beginning of the season, RPGs were in there, so now it's usually either you get a purple pump or sometimes a compact SMG. So much power in those bunker chests. As you've seen the power position from Stasios. Stasios coming in hot right now entering this fray. And this is the dangers of having exchange and engagements here. And considering there's a lot of people that are point hungry, this Stasios trio is here to eat.
They're going to eat, but man, they're taking their time with this meal.
It's a roaster. It's a slow roast.
Definitely. I've had, like, you know, basically for this game in terms of the pacing of it compared to others. I've had a son. He's out in college, got a job, came back. And it's still, this game is still going on. To put it in reference, all the games we're watching before, right?
Yeah.
On average, right? The first team is kind of eliminated like a minute 41 into the game. For this one, the first team fully eliminated 7 minutes into the game. 7 minutes and 14 seconds.
Wow.
This game is definitely much more passive. People are taking their time. It's not action-packed in terms of eliminations, but the cerebral play, the thoughts, the pressure behind every elim. It's game 5. Definitely here. And Alexa's team picked apart. People going for longer splits. The risk not actually working out. It's trouble.
This is such a dangerous place for Analyx Trio to go. They went for the bunker chest, jam side trio from Misty Meadows. This is what, you know, this is like an elim box. You know, you walk into that, you have so many different people that could come in. Lazy Link could come down, Lazy Lake could come down, Misty Meadows could come down. And as you saw right there, they try to stick their hand into that bunker chest cookie jar, and all of a sudden they pay the price. So not going to be really bad. We already talked about, they're already 20 points in the leads right now, but still, they could kind of scrap that out the playbook, right? Maybe we don't really need to get down there. I mean, what do they really maybe upgrade a pump or to a epic AR? Was it really worth it? As you see right there, not worth it. But Lazy Lake, like I mentioned, the south side, always early, like the later stages of the early game. If you're playing competitive, even if in like kind of arena, you'll see that a lot of people tend to rotate there, seeing if they could find some gold in the ground.
Sometimes they'll just end up digging up dirt. And even if they get gold, the gold could be fake. 4ZR right now. 12 elims. And 10 of them are just him just popping off. Kind of, you know, you're talking about digging up gold. If that is a cool prize to have for him overall. Still in 11th place. So being the lobby leader in elims, being the most aggressive, still not working out to get these guys to top 3. And it's weird to say, you know, that they're in 11th place and that's a bad thing. In previous seasons, they're 1 spot away from qualifying towards the top spots. Now it's going to be top 3 once again that we're looking at. A lot of these teams aren't that close.
The term you're looking for is fool's gold, Chayo. And look at here, the zone here in zone 3 that's been revealed is going to go where no one's at right now. And if Andalex's trio, typically they would already be in the center, but they decide to push up to Lazy Lake. And right now we're looking at an area that is not that much congested, but Lazy Lake, I saw Floki's trio is having issues have them making their way through that Lazy Lake. And you're seeing that rotation being some problems right now. Tayson, 4ZR, and Nate at 81 points, trying to get in right now for the top 3. You know that trio wants to get in, but hey, sometimes maybe this new trio may want a little bit more extra playtime considering that they're so new. But at the same time, Tayson has always talked about getting in. Last season, he wanted to, you know, with iDrop and Savage, they wanted to get in early. They wanted to qualify early, but they were unable to put it together. That's why Tayson went to find another trio, going for that back. He was going for that back-to-back championship. Now has to settle for a 3-time championship. I think Tayson and 4ZR and Nate, they could definitely do it on the outside looking in right now in a top 10 going into this match.
First place for this entire match is down, frozen in time. Tayson gets a med give off just in time. Big Bean's down to Nakos, and he has to go down because now we're in zone. Kha'Zix will move forward. This is going to be a fight back and forth over and over. Kha'Zix, 4ZR, and Nate, but they're not going to be on the same side for this one. Falconly looking to be here as well, taken out by the Storm Pump combo. He goes down, and now it's all up to Kha'Zix to look back and see what exactly is going on both sides. He takes out Nate. He took out 4ZR as well. This is going to be Tayson versus Kha'Zix.
This is not where, of course, where Tayson and Kha'Zix, you know, Tayson doesn't want to be here. Usually Tayson, they like to fight in the space between as he is able to clean it up. My point in the previous, in the qualifying rounds, Chayo, is Tayson, 4ZR, and Nate, they usually fight on people that it's late rotating in the space between the storm site and the safe zone. So they like to fight in that space. Because the competition is a little bit more deadlier, because they have a lot more skill, those fights are not working out for them. In the rounds before, they're able to pick on them, they're able to push people away, they're able to create their own dead side rotations, but because they have a great trio in Kha'Zix there, it's not easy, and you're seeing what ends up happening. They all fall, and only one is left remaining.
Savage in trouble here too. And this is going to be a very tricky zone to medkit. The math has to be precise. Is it there? Yes, it is for Savage. The big thing too is just in that previous fight, crazy to see that Kha'Zix just has to face off against 4ZR and Nate in the Storm, ends up taking out 2 of his prior teammates, and then after that goes down to Nate, or goes down to Tayson all the way towards the very end, kind of cementing in that replacement overall. Now we're looking at Savage trying to go for the clutch up. 7 Tor on the left side with his trio. Everyone's kind of boxed up together right now. No one's really kind of looking for anything more past where they are. I was going to say that Verox, their team, must be the ones that are the blue arrows all the way towards the center point of the zone. But they're pink. They're on the bridge. Those blue arrows we were talking about before, Sancho, the ones who were in zone before everyone else, have the best spot once again. They don't have to be like Alpha Blaster and Nikov right now. Don't have to be in the dirt looking for elims, trying to capitalize, trying to basically convert position into points. They can just wait things out, beating people from way up high. I'm wondering who those 3 are.
Time will tell. Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha, probably one of their most dangerous rotations here in this game, trying to do their best. Now in real danger right now. Only 4 players have to go down. Storm Swords penalizes the most passive teams, and right now they're just above. They barely just squeaked over there. That's why they took that engagement. Normally, you're going to see some of these trios like Alpha, Blaster, Nikov not trying to overextend themselves. The Storm Swords makes you overextend. It's that trainer that's just going to stretch you just a little bit more to make sure you get that flexibility. And Savage gets pretty much storm held right there. And look at this, the storm hold is just so strong. And so much of the lobby right now is focused on 7 Tor's trio as Savage just falls on that storm line. And this feels like traditional Fortnite competitive play. Going to the edge and storm and penalizing people that are rotating late.
Those Jam Side, Fury, and Dementos. Oh, it's not actually who have one of the best positions. They have a very good one, though. They have that opportunity to move in early, like you're talking about, and shoot people down late. User trio on the bottom right. They might be the target. Could be Mexi moving in all the way from the bridge. The thing is, though, everyone has to move now with this half and half. No one really has it guaranteed. There's one duo that's in there that's in it. But for all the trios, for all the big names who have big bases, none of that real estate matters too much right now.
And where it's heading, it's so dangerous, folks. It's basically a bowl. This is like a valley, a bowl of some sort. And hey, at the bottom of the bowl, there's not like that, you know, the delicious last little bits of cereal. We're talking about just plain nothing, nada, zilch. And you do not want to go there. They're just on the cusp of this bowl right here. So long as they're going to see so many people just kind of hug this mountainside as much as possible. So whoever actually rotates late to this zone, if they're able to get to height, they're going to be able to hold on and have some prime real estate as much as possible. But that's the question, if they get able to get there for free, because whoever is sitting up there will kind of penalize them as well. As you're seeing, so many beams are going across back and forth as Waze is trying his best just to get up. This is a team that's currently in contention for the top 3 to finish throughout the day. 128 points, looking really solid here, coming from all the way from the stealthy stronghold. And that is why they're kind of in the scrum of this thing, in the congested side. Now we're getting a nice view. This is that edge that I was talking about. As you see, Estasios could get up just a little bit. If they could get up, they could kind of stop anyone from capping them. But I don't think they're going to have enough builds to do that, Shio.
Not at all. Solby, rifle up top with Jamside getting taken out. Get the full finish. So Jamside has the potential to be the high ground man for this game. Meanwhile, yes, you mentioned it, Alpha, Blaster, Nikov will have a much rougher time overall. Multi-layered base on low ground. Still kind of tricky. You don't want the zone to pull south. 1 second till we'll see where it goes. It goes south.
No.
We're going straight not only to where it's closer to Camp Cod, which is a huge island by itself that's so hard to land in. We're going towards mountains and a river at the same time. It's two completely opposite versions of the game. Nikov, the clutch master of zone, is not going to be there to save the team this time. It'll be a duo that has to fight together. Jamside, Fury, and Dementos will tarp all the way forward undisturbed right towards the front side of the zone. We'll try to affect Jetsku as he walks by, but it's not going to be enough.
Jamside's trio is at 9th place, so this could be that game to move them up. Luckily, the saving grace from Nikov's trio is that Monster trio, who's in 4th place, is down. Knight's trio is still up, though, and then 6th place is Savage is down. So they're working with a great lead right here. They could just hold on, get a couple of more placement points. It's going to look really solid. And this is the team that was mentioned. This is in 5th place. This is the team they want them to go away. They are up by like about 20 points or so. So if Knight's team could put together a nice victory royale and maybe get some elims here, as already they have 4, they're going really solid. As you see, Michael and Mex really lighting up in the feed right now, and so does ADN.
Big shots all around. There's the one team I want to watch as well. Wise, Nebs, these guys in 2nd place right now. Effectively 1st, almost. Because the 1st place team did go down Endless way earlier on in the game. We'll see Verox actually taken above their position. Jamside still moving forward, trying to get closer to the top 3. This is it right now. At the start of this game, it was 111 points. The Alpha Blaster, they're still alive though, so not going to be able to overtake it just now, but they've done a lot so far. 4 total items for the squad, staying alive in placement, all and almost, I think, total White Heels are down now. Dementos is deleted 2 before making it at this point, so they'll have to actually play out as a duo. Vortex now is the new height taker. Everything is changing over and over with this drastically different zone.
The zip line is at play. As Jamside gets eliminated, the zip line's in play. That's going to be ability to kind of cut through any kind of builds if someone wants to take it. It's a very risky play, but it is available as this zone is pushing off the mountain. Now everybody's forced to get down.
Alpha trades the Jamside, so he basically gets to keep the dream alive for just a few more seconds. 300 mats though. He has to find someone else, something else, anything in front of him. Has the flame bow, but not enough room to use it, and his own builds are wood, so not gonna be a good idea to just let it loose and misfire. Right now, it's him trying to hold on to 3rd place by himself, and he gets invaded box to box. It'll be Snag that takes him out.
Top 10 gets you a bonus 2 points here. He was so close to that, but Tripper Tripper and Hottie there. They're going to kind of move up a little bit. This is another team in the top 10. They could do it really well here. 5 elims looking really good. Has a blue pump, so it's not going to have that power impact that is. Elocrats goes down, so now this is moving along. Taking a look at it. No mats in Tripper's inventory, so he's going to only have no blueprints out. Pump out. Let's see if he can hit a big tag that he's looking for as Vortex is sitting at a height with Hycris.
Vortex, Hycris up top are one of the only teams alive for the moment who can try to clinch into that top 3. The second place team, though, is on ultimate low, and they're making sure it won't happen. Waze is on the backside. He's looking for it. Nebs is down. Can Hycris get into the top 3 here in game 5? That's the big question. Nebs, fully eliminated. Wise, still alive. Right next to Hottie, they go blow for blow, and Hottie's the one who gets the elimination. Tripper and Hottie alive now. They're looking for their shot to jump in towards the top 10. Hycris wants to win this game and get to the top 3, get one final step closer to qualifying for grand finals. Here it is. Gold pump, drop down. They go low. Vortex on one side. He comes back up. 2v2 situation. Hycris going up top. Still just paying insurance so far. Vortex drops down, gets hit down. The harpoon connect is not there for the end. Another big shot all the way from the high ground. He gets edited down, and Hottie's there with the low ground clutch. And what a way to end this crazy game.
Woo, wow. So many movement happening right then and there. They were in the top 10. I think they moved themselves closer and closer to the top 3. We saw some of our top of the board fall early, but that was a nice edit down play from that trio. I like it. Hey, just because on the low ground doesn't mean you could infect the height right there.
Yeah, if we're on the track right now, all the people in, towards the front of the race slowed down. Maybe went a little bit too fast out of the gate. This was a catch-up game for everyone else behind them, right? Second place, 5th, 9th, the top 15. Everyone was there towards the very end.
Yeah, the entire game was very passive, but it definitely ramped up near the end. We're going to kick it to the analyze desk to break it all down.
Was that an attempt at a harpoon play at the very last moment there? I blinked and I missed it. If that had happened, I feel like this would be a very different story, Reese.
I mean, that would have been the play of the day, surely. Surely the play of the day, absolutely no doubt. But really huge play. Actually, one of the biggest clutch moments there was Hottie picking up the last elimination on, well, the second last elimination on that solo, right? That got them up into second and eventually first. But from that, they managed to get those siphon materials, which became so important because you saw the team on high ground. You saw that kind of Vortex along with Hycris on high ground. They had nothing, completely out, and they were just running on those old builds. That's where you saw them go for that kind of angle, taking the shot down the back, where we saw the first knock and then the attempted harpoon play, as you mentioned, but it just wasn't enough. So those eliminations Hottie managed to pick up was absolutely critical.
Yeah, that's, one of the key moments in them actually winning the game, right? I think great display from them, right? It's taken them a while for them to come into the fray. I think it's interesting that, last time round, Reece, you sort of highlighted the fact that some of these teams who aren't necessarily pushing for the top 3 right now need to start doing so. The game's running out, the time's running out. And so for them to get a victory out, that's going to push them way up. And even if it doesn't lead to an auto qualification, it does, put them in a point where, they're more comfortable on series points. So definitely a great sign from them. If they can sort of do this now in the final game, it'll be even more exciting. But definitely means that the people who are sort of in that top 3 need to sort of be looking over their shoulders thinking, hold on a minute, we can't get too comfortable. They need to do everything they can in their last opportunity.
They do. So what do they need to do? The top 3 right now are an absolute critical slot. They are in the comfortable sitting. They are the kings of the thrones. And top on right now is Antelix, Snazy, and X-Squeeze. These guys have performed all day, been incredibly consistent. And it seems like they may have that top spot secured right now after kind of really going down really early in that last game. However, being super consistent throughout that, a 4th, a 2nd, a 1st, a 5th. So if they just get any points right now, I think this team as a whole should have considered kind of locked in that slot to qualify them through.
Yeah, I think of all the teams in the top 3, they're the ones who wouldn't necessarily be looking over their shoulder in that sense. I think they've definitely been consistent over the course of the day. And maybe you could say the same here for Waze, Bubak, and Nebs. They've been really incredible since sort of after game 2 or so. They start to really step things up, and definitely been interesting to watch over the course of the past couple of games. You can see crazy shots there from Bubak. That's some insane stuff. So, how things sort of play out now for these guys, I think they're definitely going to be feeling confident coming into this last game, and confidence often breeds success. Nikov, Blaster, Alpha, they've been sort of, here and there over the past couple of games. Started off really hot, sort of cooled down, and then, pick things up again. So where they finish is going to be really crucial now.
Yeah, so remember, your top 3 is Andalex, Snazy, Nequi's team, Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha, and also Nebs, Bubak, and Waze. And these guys are in that slot. We've actually seen a change up in the leaderboard as well. You know, we've seen Nebs' team now actually overtaking Andalex's team. So now Nebs, Bubak, and Waze is in the first place slot. Andalex, Snazy, and X-Squeeze currently in second. Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha in that third. But notice, between Highcrest, Vortex, and Knight, after picking up that big elimination, they are on the tails of third place. Look how close this is. You know what? I think I spoke too soon. I said that Andalex, Snazy, and X-Squeeze might have this in the bag. But if either of these teams, being any in the top 3 really, are kind of go down early, this is huge potential for any of them to drop out of that top 3 and not get that auto qualification to grand finals.
Yeah, the marches are much finer than I thought as well, Reese. I'll be honest.
I know.
Coming into this now, this last game gets really interesting because, you know, all of these teams have the potential to be knocked out. That's the reality. And a very harsh and brutal one as well. So you don't want to be one of those teams. It'll be interesting to see off spawn if you can sort of pay attention to that, where, you know, all of these teams are going to be really potentially anxious about, you know, going down early because it is really close now.
Yeah, and any of these other teams here too, you got to think, right? A lot of these teams that are kind of down 5th, 6th, they have 1 game left to get top 3. They've already pretty much secured a lot of the series points, so they're going to also need to secure a big game, be it victory royales or via elimination. So the likes of Joe, Stompy, Shadow, who are on 110 points right now, so they're 26 points behind. And if these top 3 teams don't get any points, that's going to be tough. So these guys are gonna need to get a huge game from these players currently kind of down into the 5th to 10th. So there's a lot of teams in that top 10 in particular that we're really gonna have to pay attention to see if they can manage to get the top 3.
And the Victory Royale by itself is worth 30 points, right? That is enough to at least put you in contention. You pair that with a handful of nations, boom, suddenly you can find yourself in that top 3, right? And like you're saying, the pressure is totally on for the top 3 right now. If they drop and they're feeling super confident, they go into a fight and they just drop right then and there, that's it. They cannot earn more points, and that is their run, right? So any of these top 3, very easily could fall out of top 3, and you know that that is what they're thinking every time they look at another team and they're like, do we want to engage on that trio? We'll have to see. Fortnite fam, this is it, the final game from qualifier number 1. We're jumping out of the battle bus one more time from Europe, so Sancho, Shio Wager, take it away.
If you haven't heard it enough already, it's about the top 3, and the walls are closing in. The points are getting even closer side by side. The door is almost locked to see which 3 trios move their way towards the grand finals. It's Shio Wager and Sancho West showing you how that goes down.
Hey, all I know is our top 3 that we thought was a lock, they left the door open, Shio, for the rest of the lobby to kind of sneak on in. Well, not the rest, just the top 6 or 7 or so. I'm sorry, Bruno. I had to try it. You know what I'm saying? I love the emote. I had to try it. The door's open.
Door's wide open for a lot of different trios. Nothing is solidified. The one thing, though, there's always something special to watch in these qualifiers, and every game of Fortnite. Special is not spelled with words this time. It's represented by a trio today, and that's Nebs, Bubak, and Wise. The way these guys have been playing so far is phenomenal. Games of consistency over and over again. Even if they're just hitting top 10 or top 13, they have elims to boot. They're over and over, somehow clutching as solos. And now they're in trouble. This is the one part of the game that could flip them up. It's the early time, and Falconly's going to be looking for shots so far. Very important fight here, Sancho, for these guys to maybe even qual for the FSCS Grand Finals, and Wise goes down.
This is bad. We talked about how Kezik's trio have the opportunity to be creative, have the freedom to move about, considering they're at Coral Castle, and they decide to contest here at Selfie Stronghold. It's up to Nakos to kind of be the main kind of offensive player, because Falconly goes down. So Nakos is the last one standing against Bubak and Nebs here. This is an opportunity still to get valuable storm swords. That means Bubak can kind of chill the rest of the ride here if they just survive. No heals available in the moment. Well, they do have bandages.
No mats.
No mats. Yes, that's what I meant. And no shields. Nakos is a OG player who's very dangerous, who can still clutch this 2v1.
Come on. This is the first place team basically just trying to hold on to their top spot. Bubak's there with big shots. He needs the siphon. Is this his elim? It is. 98. That's huge now. And the extra mats. He's back in the game. Nebs, though, is by himself with Nikos in the same box. He does get the elim down. No siphon just yet. Falling down for it. Does confirm. Not his walls. Bubak, you have to clutch this. He has the wall. Just has to edit and land the shot. Nikos moves. He fires, doesn't land. Oh my God, the stakes right now. Big fire again, doesn't land. It's a pump. He's got 5 shots. But they disengage. More mats. Okay, a purple pump. It has to be now, Sancho. He has to go all in.
All the chips are down on the table for both trios right now, but it's more so for Bubak. He has more of the pot in play. First place going up against AT, plays the beams ring true. Considering right now their lead is only 12 points, and we already saw the top 3 in the previous round. Like you mentioned, slowed down to Turtle's pace. The pace is picking right there. Bubak right now. Nikos found a little bit of shield, just to be able to hold on just a little bit of that AR push right now. Bubak gets stopped. Plenty of firepower, plenty of beams. Nikos goes down. Wow, and they survive. Bubak clutches for the trio and holds on. Our #1 point leader drops the L, knowing that he's going to be able to reboot his trio down in the reboot van. But hey, man,
Is he?
I think so. He got a card. Is he what?
I'm just wondering if he got the cards. That was a pretty long fight towards the very end.
I think he picked up one. I saw him pick up one.
Okay.
I think he picked up one. We'll see. I mean, at the same time, at least they get valuable points, right? Yeah. Valuable points just to kind of push them up a little bit. Look at the zone, as you're seeing here on your screen. It's on the left side. Let's see if 4ZR's trio could do really well when they usually pool zone. The trio in Sweaty Sand, another creative opportunity. They tend to push the coastal team. They could go all the way up to Pleasant Park. They could go all the way down. So many options, and 4ZR's trio does take those options, but now we're seeing other people in the top 10. This is Rotary's trio. I'm just trying to take a look at find them where they are on the board. For some reason, I felt like they were always on the top, and yeah, they were on the top, and they slipped down to 13th place going into this match, Shio.
Wow. Still, though, it's 136 points, no matter what team it is. If they fall down, they're close to the top. That is basically the top 3.
You're right.
136, 137, and then now 155 for the first place team. It seems like the 155 might be enough. The Sancho we saw last game, Analex wasn't first. Yep. By a landslide, by 20 points. It got caught up and bumped over. Nothing is guaranteed, especially with the way the zones have been playing out today.
You know, Tripper, just seeing them where they come up here. Wait a minute. Hold up. Wait a minute. Yeah, the second trio, that third parties, is going to be Amplified, Benji and Matzo? Wait a minute. Hey, no clutching here. I'm out. He just decides, I'm going to just get out, trying to get as much placement as possible. Wow. I mean, that's what Danger is.
They're hunting.
They're hunting. Yeah, they're coming for it. I mean, I've seen this kind of push before from Benji. He's coming in hot, and you talked about it. Stealthy Stronghold. It's a decent POI. It's inconsistent, yada, yada, yada. But you run in danger of being pushed from the Pleasant Park trio.
I think about the format, too, and he said top 24 for 5 more crucial points. 26 teams alive right now. If 2 go down anywhere else on the map, by the time Nebs delays this, it's huge value. It's a game of time right now. There's no way he wins a 3v1 against this trio. He just needs to live longer. The thing is, though, this has 100 mats. Amplify is not stopping the beams. No mats now.
Makeshift.
26 still.
Bubak's still alive, though.
Okay.
Bubak's still alive. The dream lives.
They split up. That's so smart. They split up entirely. And now they can still reign for those 5 points and hopefully get there for 160.
Listen, typically when a scary movie, you never split up. But hey, in scary movies, you don't get points for surviving as long as possible. And that was such a 200 IQ play in desperation from Bubak's trio. As Bubak now will keep an eye on the feed if they survive. But this is what I'm talking about. Because Tayson, Nate, and 4CR were gifted the first zone, that gave them the ability to move around the map. And they're going to go push any scavenger team in the coast. And they decided to push in Holly Hedges. And wow, look at the upgraded inventory and already 3 limbs, and that means their Storm Surge not going to be a question at all going forward. Let's see if this Weeping Woods trio save it. Oh my goodness, who beamed Nate? Wait a minute, who beamed Nate?
Is that legal? These guys barely even saw him for 2 seconds and just took out all his HP. Tayson on the back foot can't actually use this God loadout for anything. He has to go and reach Nate so he can give him some cabbages. It's the Medivac down, but as a result, Rifle takes up so much more space. Every team, the reason they're this giddy, the reason that they're confirming and going all in on these fights is because it's the last game and they need a lot of points to catch all the way up. Save it, isolating Nate, but he's kind of getting a taste of his own medicine right now. Rifle's trying to find his way in, but Tayson actually stops him on the path and now has a great Cut off twice on the rifle. The reads are insane from Tayson. Another one. Tayson is a 1v2 machine, and he's not stopping. Nate's also winning his one. He has advantage. The pinch is there too. Oh, did you forget about 4ZR? Because he's in this fight as well. He gets a big shot on a Crizzy. Tayson's not done yet. Still on the backs of Rifla. He finds one way through the builds, but then tears off for just a second. They have a huge pinch going on right now. Just going to keep it churning, and this should be their fight.
This is going to be a strong opportunity as well, just to kind of try out some new strats that they don't make it in the top 3. I think Tayson's, Nate, and 4ZR, they're the kind of trio that they could put in the work and see where they fell short here. And if they win this engagement, they're definitely going to feel happy about going forward, that they could put the pedal to the metal and kind of be a little bit more loose with it when it comes to contesting teams all around the west side of the map.
Could end up getting so many more elims too, and then possibly being near the top spots. But yeah, a 40-point difference that'd be very hard to actually make up. Right now, though, the entire other team got all the time available to get a full refresh on heals. Rifla now contesting 4ZR. Took a big shot, but then responds with his own. This is an insane mid-game fight.
And it's not over yet. I see more arrows looking in on just on the edge of Holly Hedges. So just because you get done with this one, the new fighter will enter this match. It kind of gets crazy, man. In a 1v1 in a boxing match or whatever kind of match you're fighting into, it's Stompy's team. Here they come. It's like ring-a-ding-ding. Let's ring the bell. Let's go again.
It's a Royal Rumble, and there's many guests for these fights.
Right?
Over and over. Play the theme music.
Yeah,
Stompy's
music hits
between two teams.
Oh my goodness.
Man, the music
Chrissy actually takes out 4ZR. Yeah, 4ZR's go down and confirmed by Shadow. So, hey, man, Tayson could do this. Tayson does have a blue pump. He's going to have to be a little bit more accurate. It all depends on what kind of firepower is on the other end. Oh, my goodness.
Even if they don't get top 3 right now, even if they don't have all the elims after this game, the series points matter so much. In the past, it was like a bunch of different squads, always like kind of 132, a big echelon of teams, now kind of chopped down to the top 99 of Europe. If you're not getting top 3 every week, if you haven't won the last FNCS, so it's just the top 99 out of thousands, hundreds and thousands of teams. So very important for every single elim, every point to matter. That's why both teams, all teams here at Holly Hedges, I've never seen it this populated. I'm not sure why anyone would want to come around here, are popping off.
I can't believe, is Tayson and Nate gonna, I've seen this done before, but usually when they do the trio, they like to flank from the backside. They kind of crouch and they make their way up and they just get a couple of beams, but I don't know if they have 4ZR's card. I mean, a play could be available to reboot here. Joe, Shadow, and Stompy are not seeing them, literally hiding behind a pole. Realizes he does get spotted out. He's trying to send anything his way.
This is basically do I stir, do I go? And right now, both Tayson and Nate are fighting 2 different teams entirely, or at least trying to keep track of them. It's going to be tough. I feel like the more aggressive one is near Nate because they're still towards the backside. Hunting inside the zone. Look at how spread thin this map is now. 24 teams. The last game we watched had so many still up, almost close to 30. They're all part of their game plan now. Got to remember the top 5, the top 10 are very close together in points, all the way to 9th place. No, almost 13th place. It is kind of viable to being top 3 if some of these big teams go down.
Big teams are still up there. We did see Blaster's trio in the top right of the screen. And the reason why these fights are lasting long is because Holly Hedges is just on the outside going in. Now we're seeing Rifle and Saven and Crizzy able to push all the way through. Tayson sending some beam to Crizzy's way. Here's the other team that I'm talking about, Nikif Alpha and Blaster, who are currently in 3rd place. And look at that. Coming into this match, they were at 136 points. And with the engagements they have, Shayo, they were able to pick up some elims. And now they're at 147. They could be able to walk away and win this entire thing, considering that Nebs, Bubak, and Wise, they basically are, I think Bubak's still alive, right? I'm going to take a look. Yeah, Bubak's still alive, running around as a solo.
I mean, he's accruing points. He got the extra 5, so definitely their team's at 160. Last one, Nikov Alpha, I think have to have taken 2nd place off of that. I'm wondering how Andalex is doing right now as well. Hi Chris and Hottie are going to be the other 2 individuals from separate teams, both 4th and 5th respectively. Looking from the outside in, trying to knock these guys off their game, but one has a castle tower.
Oh my
barn.
God.
This man is playing.
Wait. I've seen this before, bro. I've seen this before. The orchard and the colossal crops has a bunch of apples, and this man is going for it. He's gonna go for it. He's gonna eat his way up to maybe a #1 finish, and he's gonna have to do it by himself. Campfires, you name it, cabbages. It's all gonna be up for play, and if no one finds him, which I doubt they will, this guy, he could do it, Shayo. He's gonna rack up valuable points. Remember, 10, you get an additional placement point. I can't believe this is happening right here, day 1 of season 6 of the qualifiers. Booback, you're a madman, and I respect it. Yes, 200 IQ amplified. Make it 400 IQ now.
The thing is, the next time we get placement points is when 17th place.
Yeah, you're right.
Team
17th and 10.
Yeah, that's the thing. So he has a long ways ahead of him. I hope he finds all the heals he can. That's a long road trip.
Oh, yeah. That's an odyssey, dude. That is an odyssey. He is what is it, Odysseus right now, hoping to find his way home.
Just look at like the state of the map right now, the zone. It's like no one's even editing out or taking shots. I don't think it's gonna be possible for him to live past that 4th zone. Once that 5 tick comes in, you are not healing that out for that long.
Yeah, at the same time, I doubt Storm Surge will be a factor until moving, considering that the lobby is thinning out very quickly.
Yeah,
but I want to see it, because I would love to look at the VOD review and just see him in there like a pig, you know, truffling it all up, finding all the opportunities to get that in there. As we see that Snazy is out, X-Weez and Analyx. I've seen this duo do it before, and they have a strong opportunity to win as well. So, like I mentioned, Booback is the only one holding on, and not in your left side picture is Booback all the way at the orchard.
I think that what is the most cerebral thing he can do is just like try to get towards Slurpee any way he can. At the extra 1 tick.
Nah. He's gonna go to Colossal. I mean, if he gets enough gold quests, he could actually rift into zone. You never know.
NPCs despawn in the storm, so no chance for him to.
No, I think he doesn't turn to a ghost. I think Raz turns into a ghost.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah, he turns into a ghost. Yeah, he has an opportunity, man. I haven't had him before. You know, you were sitting there like, I'm gonna get to Raz, and all of a sudden he gets eliminated by the storm. But no, he turns into a ghost. So hey, if he does gold quests, maybe gets the farmer. He could maybe hit up the cornfield. So many possibilities. I mean, I didn't think I wanted to break down this play here on an FNC cast.
Solo heal game in zone 3 on game 6 of a qualifier, because the first place team has a dude who's doing that exact scenario. He's trying to heal game it.
Yeah,
he's still alive.
He's still alive, dude. $3,000 basically. If you're a last place team in the finals going forward, it basically look at it. You could do it.
This is definitely doable. 100%.
This is definitely
What's the next
doable.
thing? The cabbages. He needs like the Exodia of like. Oh, he needs more wood. Okay, makes more sense.
Yeah.
He's just gonna just go for campfires, but okay. Once
now it's ticking hard. It's ticking hard. It's ticking hard.
This is the 4th close. It
might be a wrap.
He's hit everything, eating stinkers. You know you're down bad when you gotta eat the stinkers. This is.
Dude, you're down bad. It's like, you know, leftovers in the refrigerator. It smells a little bit. But you're like, yo, you're a little bit hungry. Like, all right, I might as well get that. We'll keep an eye on the feed as he's down into eating stinkerfish, which thrown causes stink damage, but you can eat it, and it does go down pretty good. So
I want to go right back. There's nothing going on here right now. They're all just in their bases.
He
deserves a send off. He deserves a send off, right?
Send him back. He survived 2 of the craziest trios in our region. He survived Krizik's trio and Benji's trio. Right now, he's surviving Big Daddy Storm.
If he got that campfire off, he should still be alive. But 22 teams, there's no placement. It's the thought that counts. And right now, a lot more thinking to do for Analyx and X-Squeeze. Like, in general, these guys moving in as a duo, it's going to be so much harder to play, especially with their style. Yes, you say that they have very good ways, Sancho, of playing this game out as a duo. That's when they actually get into endgame and then one teammate goes down. To get into 5th zone, then move, build with the mats, rotate, harp out. You're doing it with a 1/3 less of your mats. You're doing it with 2 less eyes and 5 less inventory slots of pressure. So much more difficult to play as a duo there. And I hope this is a late update. It is, which is why I stopped calling it out that much. They are above Surge, 235 damage. They're going to be on par for now. I don't think the next one will really lock in. I think as soon as teams start to clash with each other, the server is going to degenerate completely into shots, pump dives. It's going to get crazy.
Bubak has to hope that 6 people fall here, folks. 6 people have to fall. If not, Surge is going to come in and strike. You know, the Storm is always dangerous, but the Storm does not like to be embarrassed on the main stage. And it will rain terror down on Bubak. More on that story here is now we're going into Alpha Nikov Blaster in the same kind of opportunity to kind of, they're hoping that he goes down. Remember, Bubak has a 149, so even if Bubak survives these couple of points right now, it may be not enough for Alpha, Nikov, and Blaster, but still on the line is surviving for that top 3, Shio. I mean, 4th and 5th place. Right now, 4th place of High Chris's trio is in striking distance. If Hottie's trio pops off again, they could overtake Bubak, who's down at the orchard, you know, feeding his gullet.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, bro. Oh!
No! And that's it?
That's it, dude. We got to double check on how many points they ended up
160.
with.
It has to be 160 because he lived till 24, and the last time we tuned in, they had 155. So 160 is the points to beat for first place.
Quick math.
It should be good overall. It's redemption from before when I couldn't subtract 6 from 1.
Everybody has redemption here. This is the main story of it right now. Analyx and Squeeze have to do this as a duo. They did it before in round 3 to close out. They got a victory royale with 19 eliminations. So Analyx and Squeeze can do it. And it's actually in a zone very, very mirroring of this one. Max distance, no peppers. Usually Snazy is the pepper man. The pepper man's gone.
Yeah.
So now, right now, they're going to have to do it the old school way. They have to run. Right now, they're following Knight. Vortex is Knight right now.
They're on the worst lanes possible. And look at Jam side. They're gonna have a direct line straight to where Analyx is. This is trouble. Big trouble.
Jamside's in 7th place right now. So if Jamside could kind of pop off, he's gonna need a 40-point plus game here in the Victory Royale.
This is the trio to stop if they want that. Any more points they get, it's trouble for the rest of the lobby. Analyx, big shot taken.
Big
23 HP in the box. He's getting blended over and over. Crushed ice right now. Now it's speeding up too. They have to go all the way towards the backside. X Squeeze finds another path. Slightly darker though. Not sure exactly what's on the other side of these walls. It's more beams. Analyx can't even take 2 bullets or he goes down.
Benji's trio is out. They've been eliminated. Big time. Name not going to be able to get Denix squeezed down, so it's up to Analyx. We're getting
Analyx
into
down?
it. Maybe. I'm not quite sure. Is it down?
Yep, he just got eliminated fully.
Oh my.
And now 1st and 2nd place frozen in time. I believe it's 147 and 160. Knight's right there with 144. So the placement's caught up for a lot of teams.
And I talked about a couple of games is all you need to push yourself up in this format. And that's what Knight, High Chris, and Vortex are doing. They had a great game in the previous one down before coming into the top 2 situation. It was just an edit down play that stopped them from getting a victory royale. So this is going to be an opportunity to string together those 2 games to maybe get them into that top 3 and up into the finals. But we're coming down to the final moments here. This is in game. As you're seeing, it is Attack that took out Benji's trio right now, going up against Jamside. Can Jamside hold on to high? Yes. They get out Attack right now. Jamside Dementos could push their way up, coming in from 7th place, going into this match here. But the story is Vortex, Knight, and High Chris pushing towards 2nd right now, considering that Analyx's trio is going down in 2nd place, locked in at 147 points.
If you're just tuning in right now, the FNCS has changed slightly. It's all about the top 3. This is the final game. If you place in the top 3, you go towards the finals for the FNCS this season. Right now, there's a big fight for Heights. 7th place is trying their best to get towards that top side, but they have so many points to make up. This team you're watching is in 3rd currently. The 1st and 2nd place team are down. Nikov is about to pass the points of the 1st team. It was frozen at 160. They have 156. Moving forward for it with 4 eliminations. They're really popping off in this game and still have half the zone to cover over here. Looking very good on Storm Surge. 13 different teams alive. Jamside finds another one up top. It's Hottie that ends up going down. That's 2 teams back to back, 5th and 7th, that have an exchange. And it's the 7th place team that reigns victorious, it looks like, all the way on high ground. Past that though, Vortex, the 5th place team, is looking really good moving in for the moment right now. And then past that, everyone else around them has a chance to strike to top 3 because the major teams on the top are down. It's this game. Jamside has control to stay up top. Vortex, Knight, and High Chris are down at 148. It looks like they will not qualify in the top 3, but end up in 4th so far.
Oh, what a bummer of a game to have right there. To fall short at 148 right now. Again, 160 is first place, and they're already locked in. Can Nikov, Blaster, and Alpha get there? Looking for some valuable elims. They get a knock on Joe. They got a knock on Joe. Remember, every elim's 2 points here in the round 4. This is the first opening moment, so that Michael getting an elim is 162. Right now, they're sitting in first place, but I really think that Gemside has a strong opportunity to make his movement right now, considering he's at height. He has to get some elims sitting right there. There are 10 teams left right now, 21 players on their feet, and still a lot of more action as we're getting closer and closer to that final 9 zone as Alpha gets a knock on High Joe. As you see, Nikov and Blaster and Alpha gets going to find some valuable loot right now and some valuable opportunities to get their way all the way up their leaderboard, considering that they're sitting in first place with 164 points.
Now's where things are starting to get into trouble. 180 Mats, Nikov goes down. Blaster and Alpha have to be the only two to actually let this one ride all the way towards the very end. It's 3 different spots that are open, though, not just first place. And you mentioned it. Jamside is all the way up top from 7th now all the way to the hero spot. But Alpha's not done clutching, and he gets 2 big eliminations. 176 points, keeps the dual streams alive, and is somehow still surviving and finds his teammates.
That was against Paco. What a big time hit right then and there. Alpha right there, alongside with Blaster on the low ground, doing all that they can. Again, the last time who we got a first place finish in the qualifiers was the FNCS champions in Hens Trio. So this is going to be a big statement game right now from Alpha, Nikov, and Blaster, coming all the way from Craigie Cliffs, trying to send a message to Hens Trio to let them know that you will see us in the finals and we will compete for the drop stop and the rights to Craigie Cliffs.
Looking right now that Alpha actually ends up going down. The medkit came through, but it's not going to be enough to keep him inside the game. Blaster will be the solo player here. Definitely looks like he's almost qualified, but how much more can he get right now with 178 points on the board? He has a full loadout, double AR'd up. The purple shotgun's in there, but it gets blended from both sides, cut in half. It's not possible. The question is, how far has Jamside, Dementos, and Fury come through? Slender is going to be alive with 94 points. Not enough qual, but he gets those series points way up high in the sky. Does Jamside have enough? Can he clutch this out, get the win? It might be the factor that matters, that separates them. And he does find the beams and the victory royale. Jamside from 7th place to 157 points in game 6. Might have just been enough to be in top 3.
Maybe 9 elims and the victory royale, but wow, congratulations to the #1 spot in the qualifiers of Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha. 160 points with 1 victory royale, 28 elims, and the average place is a 9.5. I can't believe they were able to do so well no matter where the zones went throughout the entire day. They found themselves with some great opportunities to get in some big time points, and hey, punch their way in with style to the finals, considering they made it in that top 3.
Yeah, they're literally a trio that is invisible almost for the first 4 games. I never understand how they're so consistent when moving through game to game. And then towards the very end, that's where the clutches come in. This time, no Nikov on the board to, clutch up in Storm. That was Alpha with 2 big shots keeping the dream alive. Blaster getting the final points of placement all the way towards the very end. The thing is, though, Sancho, many different teams were on the plate there, and it's top 3 that are, part of the main equation.
No doubt, many different teams. And one thing I got to point out was Alpha, Nikov, and Blaster, they were in the reboot round last season. So it's just showing you with hard work, with consistency, you'll be able to pull on through and make it to the final, Shio.
Yep, that's it for us, though, for the EU qualifier. Round 4, the first one that went down. We'll throw it back over the desk. They have a lot more to talk about and show us exactly who qualified for those finals.
Thank you so much, boys. As always, great cast on the day. Fortnite fam, if you're not following those 2 amazing individuals and these 2 amazing individuals, I need you to do that, okay? Go show them all some love. Now, once again, congratulations, Nikov, Blaster, you guys, this trio, 178 points. They close out the day. We've got the stats. We can break this all down. Reese, Levin almost made this prediction, okay? He even said at the beginning of the show, I thought about it. I wasn't sure. What happened here?
Honestly, maybe I had a howler. Sorry. Maybe I had a howler because I did want to pick them, and I said I did want to pick them. But the worry for me was, would they get enough victory royales? Would they be able to get victory royales? Because typically, you see a lot of the teams that will be in that top 3 will have victory royales. They didn't even need a victory royale. They were just so consistent that it pushes them all the way up there. So props to them. Sorry, howler on me. And see you next week.
I was like, wait.
Pat yourself on the back, Levin. Don't you worry. You almost picked them. But, you know, these guys, if you actually look back to last FNCS as well, they actually picked up the first place in Qualifier 3 as well. So these guys have history of performing really, really well. Unfortunately, they didn't end up doing so well in the kind of semi-final stages at all and not made it to finals. So these guys are definitely going to be really, really happy that this kind of a new changes happened. But we have some interesting stats coming for these guys as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, right? Because they were so sort of consistent over the course of today. And you can see here, no wins, no victory royales. Look, they were so consistent that they didn't even need sort of the 30 placement points that you get alone from a victory royale. They were just so effective elsewhere. Alpha was actually the player in this trio to pick up the most eliminations. Alpha had 14 eliminations on the day. So big stuff from them all around. Props to Alpha, but a great team performance nonetheless.
Yeah, and their kind of biggest single point game was 42. So that's a really, really large game when we're kind of starting to think that this team got 178 points. So they kind of got 24% of their points in a single match. And that was a huge, huge game for them. And that was actually that final game that we just watched there, where they picked up those 10 eliminations and where they got that 4th place. So, you know, you were already mentioning, Levin, these guys don't win the games. But when you can manage to get 42-point games and still not even get into the top 3, that is an incredibly consistent kind of play style. And we noticed top 5 games, they managed to get in there 2 different times. So overall, like a huge amount, which is interesting about just eliminations coming out from these guys. 5.83 on average, being way above the second by over a single elimination. So you know what? Like we said, we're used to seeing these guys in the top 5s over and over. And not seeing that, but seeing them get a ton of eliminations is obviously uncharacteristic of them. And it's very, very interesting to see the kind of flip of their kind of play style so far.
Yeah, I think when you look at how they played, right, I sort of wanted to sort of look at in the first game where I mentioned how they were willing to commit mats to get good position. And the, you know, real advantage with that is when you have good position, you have more space to create refreshes, to find refreshes. You know, a lot of these eliminations they're getting are coming in endgame, right? And it's because they are just playing it so well to be in those optimal positions. And, you know, it pays off there. Like you said, they're not known for being the most flashiest of players or having the most eliminations, but you know, today it paid off where other players weren't able to keep up. So props to them.
That's right. Now, of course, your next question, Fortnite fam, is, well, Zeke, which of the top 3 trios, which of those boys made it on through? You already know one, so we have 2 more spots to fill. I'm going to tell you right now, with that final game, that's right, Jamside comes out of nowhere. Okay? This is why I love Fortnite, Reese. At the final game, when the dust settles, the unthinkable happens. And for Jamside, he just secured his trio a spot in finals.
Yeah, that last game with them was massive for them. You know, they managed to pick up 48 points in that final game, which was, you know, almost a third of their entire points across the day in that single game. So massive, massive game. That kind of 9 eliminations going in there too. You know, Nebs, Bubak, and Wise, a team that, you know, we didn't really talk about that much at the top of the show. We didn't have huge expectations set for this team at all. But again, performing really, really well with a 12 elimination second. A 12 elimination at first in their second game, and kind of just carried on the steam from there on out.
Yeah, and with Jamside, Fury, and Dementus rounding up that top 3, you know, Jamside and Dementus in particular, sort of legacy players, right? People who have literally been in comp from nearly day one. I remember back when I used to scrim, you know, having these guys in my lobbies. So, you know, it's a long time, right? We're talking 3+ years ago. So to see these guys now book a ticket straight to the finals is just, you know, insane. And congrats to them, props to them. And of course, High Chris, Vortex, Knight falling now. It's heartbreaking. It is, because in those last couple of games, they did look like they were sort of coming back and really looking to push and fight for that auto qual. But top of the leaderboards in terms of series points, and I'm sure they'll be happy about that.
Yeah, and one of the things that we didn't kind of notice too much about them is because, you know, they weren't winning games, but they were there, right? You know, they were third, and second in the kind of 3rd, 4th, and 5th games respectively. But taking a little flashback to our first game winner, Podesize, MXR, and WAN, game number 1 winners. You know, it started off on a really, really good foot for these guys. That big victory royale didn't manage to get too many eliminations. They ended up having a really, really good other game where they placed 2nd with 12 eliminations, but outside of that, basically either down to Storm Surge or off the kind of spawn outside of that. So not a big performance for them after that.
Yeah, I think things got really quiet for them. I think they sort of had that hot streak at the beginning, and then it sort of just fell off a cliff, you know, no pun intended, with the, you know, winners coming from craggy cliffs. But what I will say is, you know, we sort of had, you know, Waze, Booback, and Nebs come into play, and they stayed relevant throughout the course of the day once they sort of had that sort of pop-off moment. And, you know, this was a game where we didn't necessarily expect them to win. They were up against Andalex's trio, and they came from below, quite literally, to sort of, you know, come in and steal the game away. But then Andalex finally got their victory out. Andalex snazing at Sweeze, who, you know, for the majority of the day, it felt like they were sort of in that dominant position. It felt like they, you know, had control of everything that was going on until that sort of final last 2 games that are knocked out of first, and things sort of go all the way downhill. And although they won't be happy, because I know they will be feeling as if they deserve to sort of get an auto-quote spot, they'll be back fighting next week, and you know, no doubt in my mind that they will be one of the teams in the finals at one point.
Yeah, top 3 is really, really tough to make, and, you know, making it top 5 is still a fantastic placement. And their performances throughout the first 4 games, you know, 4th, 2nd, 1st, and 5th, absolutely nutty. Unfortunately, those last 2 games, you know what, other teams just ended up being more consistent and climbing up through. But the other team we saw, kind of Astro, AD, and Hardfine, particularly in that last game where they ended up placing 3rd, I thought that this team might be able to clutch up a top 3 qualifications. They ended on 7th place with 135. But only by getting 2 eliminations in that final game. So not necessarily being able to, you know, really climb up that leaderboards. You know, they would have needed way more and the Victory Royale in that last game, but still really, really well played from them. And this is one of the kind of Victory Royales we saw as well. And Hottie managing to pick up that kind of final refresh to pick up the loot, which we mentioned on stream earlier while we were kind of breaking this one down. He picked up the really essential elimination, getting them those mats. And that's just purely what won them this game.
Yeah, these guys really did well to win this game. And you see here, the harpoon whizzing by his head. Yeah, almost. So close, yet so far. But even then, right, great game from them. Trippin picking up a load of eliminations. And then here, an absolute masterclass, if anything, right? To sort of push you into an auto-qualification spot. There's no better feeling, really. I'd love to hear the comms, even though I know I wouldn't understand it because the language is not in my range. But look, I'd love to hear the energy, because there must have been a load of excitement here.
Yeah, this is like one of those qualification slots, right? It's like, this is the moment that you live for as a player. Ooh, managing to qualify by hitting one absolutely critical pump shot there and eliminating that player down to the zone. I think that was Slender that he ended up eliminating there. And like, this is the kind of clutches that these players live for, and they play for, you know? The game's ramping up to win, to get that qualification shot straight to the finals. One shot between it all, that great pepper play as well. Fantastic.
Oh man, Fortnite fam, you know what this means. The competition is done for Europe for this week. Levin, I know, but we'll be back next week. Don't even worry about it. But if you want more Fortnite action, you should join me as I jump over to NA East after a little bit of a break, because we got another